I'm good. So if you're hearing popping and it's only coming from the right side, just a suggestion there. Let me get these up, and then I'll be right with you guys. We have a ton to cover today. Felisa's outline has like 40 trillion things on it, and I added some, so we have an awful lot to cover today. Do that. Okay, we are ready. We're ready. Felice is here. Sup, beta boy? That's me. Felice, good morning. Oh, I heard you first time. That never happens.
It happened last time.
Son of a bitch. All right, it happened last time.
This is the
So that's
second
right, it
time.
did.
Sorry,
It
I
did.
like it and I did it. I have a really good memory.
I forgot about that. I was equally as surprised last time. Tomorrow, if it does it, I'll probably be equally surprised again. All right, there we go. Felice, did you add? I didn't see it. Maybe I missed it. The Missouri law. Did you add that on there?
Yeah, I write like so. These outlines go in reverse chronological order, so it's at the top probably.
Oh, okay.
That's why. So it's I put like local. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong out. I'm looking at Friday's outline, so it's
just
not
cover it again.
anywhere on that outline because that's the wrong day. It says local. Yeah, it's 3. So 2 really, because there's no 1. Local Fox article. That's what the one you're talking about, right?
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's like 1, 2, 3, and then do you see how it goes 1, 2, 3 again?
Yeah, I'll fix
That's
it.
weird. No, it's fine. I don't care. Who cares?
Well, it will
Fix.
matter like when we start saying numbers.
Well, will it automatically fix? Anyways,
Yeah,
that's got to be great for you guys while she fixes that.
Well, it just did. It takes you just push one button and then it's fixed.
Oh, mine's not fixed.
Well, that's because we're working in the cloud,
Boom.
so yours has to update.
Got it. Fucking
Technology.
Clouds are slow moving, and they're made of
Technology.
vapor, which is surprising that they can hold that much data. How was your weekend?
Good,
We didn't
relaxing.
talk at all.
No, just you had a great Saturday based on your weird ass texts.
Which was I forgot what I said. What did I say?
I don't know. It was around like 11 or something.
At night?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And
Got
I
a
was
weird.
like, he's having a great Saturday. I was like asleep like a loser. And I'm like, I guess some people have fun. That's good to know. I was happy for you. Live for both of us.
Yeah, let's call it. I had a mushroom pizza. Let's call it that.
Yeah.
Friday night. Happy on the mushrooms. It was good. Luckily for us, though, this weekend the Republicans didn't change their message. In fact, they seem to be doubling down on the message, and they're just like, we're just going to do like full fascism now. That's what we're doing.
Well, first of all, yes, definitely full fascism, but first of all, we are still participating in CoinCot through the end of the month in solidarity with BIPOC creators, not being promoted as much or found as much by algorithms. So if you would like to gift us, since we have gifts turned off, please, you can use this Cash App, Venmo, or in Jay's profile, the tip jar is PayPal. If you don't have Cash App or Venmo, send us a funny message. If you could think of something funny that we have going on, just write a funny message. Or we've been doing F, Marry, Banish. Yeah, F, Marry, Banish. So you could also send us one of those and we will read them off periodically throughout the show. Since we have gifts turned off, it's harder to be found on the For You page. So please, let's tap the screen as much as possible. Right? Let's work out those fingers. Let's tap, tap, tap right now. And let's get to 10K. Also, please share the live with your favorite or least favorite Republicans. As I said that, I invited David. Oh,
Yay!
yay, David. We'll just leave it to the imagination, whether he's my favorite or least favorite Republican. So yeah, share. And if you don't have anyone to share the live with, please periodically just push the copy link button because that counts as well. Did I cover everything?
Better than I would have. This is the since I've been on TikTok, I think 3 days is the longest I've been off TikTok. Basically, from Friday until now, I haven't even really been on. I posted a couple things, but I haven't been in lives. I haven't done anything. I got to tell you guys, 2 or 3 days off, you'll feel better. If you need some time away, I didn't do it necessarily on purpose. I was moving this weekend, and that sucks. I'm a terrible mover, by the way. I'm not organized, as you can probably attest to, and so I mostly just like put all my shit just in boxes, and then I move them, and then I'm like, oh no, now I don't know where anything is. So it's been a fun, like, even just putting together my set. I've lost like 2 different pieces. My microphone arm, like boom arm, is missing the piece that connects the microphone. We're having all sorts of problems.
I know. I hate dealing with putting the arms of these microphones. Oh my God. No matter how many times I take it apart and do it, it's like, and I'm really good at putting things together, and it's annoying every single time.
Do you do puzzles for fun? Is that a thing that you do?
I told you that. We talked about
Did we?
this. That's why you know that. Yeah, like I make puzzles for fun. I see like putting IKEA furniture together. It's just like 3D puzzles. I can pretty much build or put anything together.
So is that exciting for you? Like when you get new furniture, IKEA furniture, that's exciting for you? You're like, hell yeah, I get to put this together?
No, it's not like hell yeah. I mean, it's not fun to put furniture together necessarily for different reasons, but it's something I'm good at. Like looking at shitty IKEA instructions and easily understanding them is something as a gift I apparently have that other people don't. I thought maybe like in college I was like I should put people's like IKEA furniture together in their dorms.
Just be a handyman.
I consider it like a handy woman, maybe.
Yeah, I didn't want to say handy woman, handy
Why?
person. I don't know. It's long. Sometimes I feel like being politically correct takes too much time. How about that?
That sounds like something a white man would say.
Yeah, that's my privilege right there. It takes too much time. You have a lot of stuff. I have some. Do you know that Joe Rogan had Kid Rock on?
No, I did not watch it. No, I mean, I think I heard, like, saw some of it on Twitter, but like, there was just so many things to do because of the South Carolina primary and everything. Yeah, like I just focused on Trump gave like 4 speeches, so there was just a lot to do.
Ooh, somebody said handy ma'am. That would shorten it, handy ma'am. I like that.
That's
Can I do
the
that?
same. Yeah, whatever you want to say, it's up to you.
All right, let me do this then. Because I just feel like it's a soft way to start things off because Kid Rock is an idiot and Joe Rogan doesn't really test him on any of that. I just wanted to give you some highlights. I also got some speakers now, so we should be able to hear this a little better. This is, first of all, do you remember Kid Rock's video during the Bud Light stuff when he had, I think it was what was it? Something 5?
Yeah, I know a lot about that. Like Kid Rock
remember him
basically
shooting the Bud
made
Light?
like a huge thing about Bud Light. Well, I mean, he went all around talking about it, and then basically hung out with the CEO at a fucking, what do you call it, a UFC event, and then and then weirdly walked it all back.
All right, yeah. So here's him talking about it. Let's see.
So we got kicked out of a Kid Rock concert. That's hilarious.
Exactly.
I said, I wish people knew these guys running the company because they're great fucking guys. I said,
It's hard to hear.
I said,
Say it again.
just a percentage of these fucking trolls.
Is that
on
better?
The left and on the right. They're like, I'm so empowered by the internet. I'm gonna piss and bitch and moan and, I have a voice. It's like,
Yeah. I like
Who's talking?
This
Was
is
that
Kid
Kid
Rock.
Rock? Okay.
Yeah. Keep in mind, Kid Rock is the person complaining about people overreacting on the internet. This is a guy who took multiple cases of Bud Light, staged them on his property, and shot them with a semi-automatic weapon, saying that people on the internet are too reactionary.
Got to be talking about the right. Like, that's really funny.
Yeah. Well, he is.
I have a voice. It's like, go fuck yourself. All right, cut it out. Like, If anyone's still spending time with us, you clearly are fucking bored. Find something better to do.
Yeah, it's definitely a pursuit of losers, but the problem is those losers can actually affect businesses.
Oh, so suddenly the CEO of Bud Light hangs out with Kid Rock, and now you're
so
a
that's the
troll for
end.
boy.
That was somebody else's clip. So, first of all, he starts off with all of these guys. They're all the same. Remember when Joe Rogan was a liberal, and then he started hanging out with like rich Republicans, and now suddenly he's not a liberal anymore? Like, this is people's proximity to money or their view of people with money almost always changes their view. If the person with money has a view that you disagree with, it's so much easier for that person to change your view. And that's what happened to Joe Rogan, too. But we keep going here. Kid Rock now, foreign policy Kid Rock. You'll really like this. This is Kid Rock talking about Israel and Palestine. He'll have some obviously nuanced thoughts here.
I don't disagree with what Israel's doing. It's like, they should just go in there and be like, you know what? We want our hostages back. If we don't have them back, clock starts now in fucking 24 hours. We're going to start bombing motherfuckers and killing fucking civilians. 30, 40,000 a fucking time. So you civilians better fucking pack up and fucking get these fucking motherfuckers and
Sorry for that. Yeah. Sorry.
So he's describing what they did?
Yeah, he's saying exactly what they did, and he's now saying, like, sorry, if you are Palestinian, whether you are innocent or not, as what Israel should do is take out 30 to 40,000 at a time, by the way.
That's a war crime. I mean, yeah, a collective punishment because the United States decided is a war crime.
This is just like right-wing.
You just described a war crime.
Yeah, this is right-wing bro culture. They sit around and they're like, I could solve this, and then they're like, I would just do a big atrocity. Like, I would just perpetuate a massive atrocity, and then it would be over. They don't get, like, one, that's already happening and it's not over, and two, like, those are those are just humans. So then we go to Joe Rogan giving incredible advice. Here's how I want to set this up. Joe Rogan gives really good advice and then shows that this advice was for him and he didn't listen to it.
That's the difference between social media and real life. In real life, you can be friends with people with all sorts of different opinions, because if they're good people, you can talk. You can talk even if you disagree.
And you'll find more in common
than
you don't have in common.
Much more.
It's so
Everybody
simple.
wants basic things. They want friendship, love, family. They want to be successful in whatever they're trying to pursue in life, and they want to be safe. Everybody wants that. Those are the primary things we all agree on. It's the most important things that all of us want in our life. And then the other stuff, when it starts getting on the fringes, like, you know, trans women competing with biological females, like, now you're out.
Immediately. Just immediately. He is obsessed with trans people. Like, he gives good advice. Like, yeah, you can get along with people who think differently. And then he's like, but when it gets on the fringes, he's not going to talk about, like, the alt-right. He's not going to talk about Kid Rock just, like, advocating for genocide. Where we really can't have conversations is when trans women want to play sports with AFAB women. Right? Like, that's
I know, and it's such an unintelligent position. Like, just as an athlete, I don't know, a female athlete, like, who understands the future of sports. Like, gender was a construct, right, that was conveniently used, right, to define, you know, women versus men. But it's not an all-encompassing, perfect thing that they used. And the future of sports, right, gender is just a construct we use to put people into groups that no longer work. The future of sports, like determining who should compete against who, has to do with many things like bone density, testosterone, like hormone panels. That's the future. It has nothing to do with the man-made construct of gender. It has to do with scientific testing and then determining based on that who gets grouped together.
Easy, which is an easy fix. So now Now we're going to go, and Joe Rogan, who, again, was a Bernie Sanders voter who claims he's not a Republican, who's just in the tank for Trump. You can see, like, who Joe Rogan is hanging out based on this next discussion about what Trump has exposed.
Oh, God.
Deny is that he exposed the media. He exposed the media for being essentially a propaganda agent. It's not just the news.
Yep.
And to pretend it's the news, they never covered anything that he did that was positive.
Never? Nobody ever covered anything?
No one's gotten
Donald Trump?
more free press than this man. Like, and positive press, right? Like the press
Right.
he wanted from Fox News, hours upon hours upon hours. Like there's articles that estimate like the cost he would have had to spend on advertising dollars.
And look, negative news sells more. So like he does have a point there that you're going to cover more negative news. But the idea that this is just because of Trump and like that negative news only follows Trump. Like when was the last time you saw somebody like even CNN? Like they're rarely giving Biden credit for things, right? It's constant criticism. It's what people care about. Like, and in all fairness, like these politicians, we don't hire and pay them to go so we can give them attaboys. That's not the point. Like they should be getting consistent feedback and consistent criticism. And if they can't take it, leave. But like that's the role of the media. The role of the media is not to give out attaboys. The role of the media is to show what's going on.
Keep people honest, yeah.
And hold people accountable. Yeah.
Yeah, keep people on. Yeah, but I just meant specifically with right-wing media. Like Fox News can't say the truth about Trump. Do you know what I mean? Like we talk about why Fox is lying. It's because they lose their audience when they don't lie.
Right.
Like they are positive because they can't say the truth. They've tried.
Right. Now, this is going to continue. It doesn't get better.
Anything had some negative spin on it. They spent years talking about some fake collusion story with Russia and never apologized for it, never took it back, and they'll allow...
That's because they didn't cover a fake collusion story about Russia. They covered a real story about Russia infiltrating our elections and infiltrating the Trump campaign. That really happened. Like what he's saying right now is like that Trump himself. The only thing that Republicans get right about that is anybody in the media who said Trump himself was meeting with Russia. Yet we don't have evidence of that. That's it. But like people calling this the Russian collusion hoax is so misinformed and so stupid. It is not a hoax. It happened. We have like people went to jail. How many people had to be pardoned? You don't get pardoned if there was no evidence there. We'll keep.
Yeah, his campaign was infiltrated by Russia. No one said that Trump went and hung out with, that it was Trump. Like, yeah, and that is, I'm so tired of hearing it as well. That's the only thing they have left. James Comer and Jim Jordan were spewing that crap yesterday too.
Yeah.
People on the show to support that, to try to justify that, or to try to even say that it's not true that he did collaborate with Russia.
How many times have been watching the evening news? I'm a sucker for news, like, and I've flipped between them. I'll flip between.
Watch him say he's a sucker for news. Watch him say how he's going to tell you how balanced his news is, and then immediately show that like his news isn't balanced at all. This is Kid Rock, by the way. For anybody who's joining, this is Kid Rock on Joe Rogan.
With Russia.
How many times have been watching the evening news? I'm a sucker for news, like, and I've flipped between them. I'll flip between CNN and MSNBC and Fox. You know, mainly Fox, but then I watch the evening news. I watch ABC one night, NBC. And this is just one example. There's a million of them, as you know, but like they're talking about January 6th, and they completely edit his speech. They take out the part where he says, let's march down there peacefully, or whatever. He actually says that.
Now, true. I think that's fair. I think that if you are going to talk about January 6th and you're going to talk about Trump's speech, you should point out that he said peacefully and patriotically, but you also should point out the other stuff. What Kid Rock here is going to accuse the media of doing, because Kid Rock doesn't know what he's talking about, and he'll go unchecked by Joe Rogan and unchecked by Jamie, and this is the narrative that is spun, is that they are going to cut off the clip, that the clip itself was cut off and edited.
And they cut it out. He says, we're going to march down the Capitol, cut. Yeah. And then they go.
Yeah, he didn't say we're going to march down to the Capitol peacefully and patriotically. He said we're going to march down to the Capitol. I think maybe that road right there. And I'm going to be with you. That's what he says. The peaceful and patriotic thing was earlier or late. I don't remember, earlier or later in the speech. Like, they didn't go together. But this is the narrative that has been spun, because this is what Fox is telling them, is that, like, oh, he was very specific to go peacefully and patriotically. Like, fight like hell, peacefully and patriotically, apparently.
Oh, if you don't fight like hell, you're not going to have a country.
Yep.
I mean, how the fuck do they get away with that?
They get away with it because they are the news, and no one's checking them. There's not another news. If the news was real, the other news organizations would go, this is horrible propaganda, and what you've done is you've edited out a former president, you've changed his words. This should be illegal. You're taking it completely out of context.
Now, it is illegal, which is why Fox News got fined. How much was it? Almost $1 billion? Like
89 or...
Yeah, this is illegal. And we're able to prosecute when a news organization purposely edits and lies. That is illegal. Like, but is there going to be any recognition here that it's like their side that keeps getting in trouble? It's OAN, it's Newsmax, it's Fox. Those are the ones that keep getting caught lying.
You could tell. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
You can tell that Newsmax is getting finally scared of lawsuits. I was watching Newsmax this weekend, and I have long been saying, the next defamation lawsuit needs to name Newsmax in it, because everything they say is a lie. And for the first time ever this weekend, right after somebody is spewing a bunch of 2020 election fraud lies, at the end of that, the Newsmax host suddenly got this weird look on his face and started reading, it is Newsmax's belief that the 2020 election was free and fair and was not stolen. And I was like, oh, finally, they're done lying.
Yeah, he got that in the ear. Hey, you got to read this next thing.
Oh,
yeah.
It was very obvious that he did.
The whole thing is so fucking screwball. Every single presidential race we've ever had that I can remember, people contested the results. Hillary Clinton.
When Hillary Clinton did it and Stacey Abrams,
they all
no fucking big deal.
He didn't.
Yeah, no fucking big deal if you say, hey, I didn't like the outcome of that election. I thought there was some chicanery. Yeah, that is no big deal. But then when you do it for 3 years and you stage an insurrection and you lie repeatedly about what actually happened and your claims about what happened in the election are proven to be false, that's the difference. This is what's so crazy about all these right-wingers. And I had friends this morning telling me, like, Trump's going to win because people are tired of this left-wing agenda. It's like, this is why. This isn't reality. Like, these are two... This is 1.5 smart people here talking. Joe Rogan should be better than this. But, like, they're complaining about propaganda while they are completely propagandized. I can probably leave this clip at that. I think there was only one more. We won't spend all day on Joe Rogan.
Guys, tap the screen. Let's get to 30K. Share the live with Republicans. We are taking guests whenever. If you would like to donate to us, we're not accepting gifts. Use one of these or the PayPal in the tip jar in Jay's link tree.
All right, this is the last one. This is Joe Rogan almost getting a right answer and then Kid Rock panicking. And you'll see this on the right, like sometimes when I see it with my friends, when they're close to a right answer and they like logically they're like, oh no, they'll just run from it. And you'll see that here with Kid Rock.
Everybody's running for the fucking hills.
You got to wonder how much of it is by design. You got to wonder of it how much is designed to make the population more unstable, more violent, more scared, more crime, less ability to prosper. Everybody goes like everyone's much more vulnerable.
Well, this seems like a lot of work of the Democrats, though.
It seems like something is probably behind it that's bigger than that. And if I would guess,
You're
it's
not a
probably
conspiracy
foreign
theorist,
money.
right?
I'm 100% a conspiracy theorist.
Right, fuck.
I love a good conspiracy.
You heard him. He said, like, if I had to guess, and this is where he got close. He's like, if I had to guess, I would guess foreign money. You're close on the money, Joe. You're close on the money. Why would people want you to think that there's crazy crime? Why would people want you to think that, like, government intervention in business and taxes are hurting the American people? Why? Because billionaires don't want to be taxed. And so they sell you like they sell you on this crime wave that since Joe Biden took office has been precipitously declining. Like crime is being fixed. It's getting better. All
We went
across our
over
country.
we used the Stanford Economic Policy Institute study to show that there is no such thing as a migrant crime wave.
And even on a more broader picture, when you talk about, because they'll always be like, San Francisco's a hellhole. I was playing with golf with a friend of mine, and he's liberal, but like he's surrounded by conservatives, and he was saying that he's like, yeah, you can't even go to these liberal cities, like it's a hellhole. You can't even go to San Francisco or Chicago or New York without getting robbed. I'm like, dude, that's not happening. He's like, I've seen the videos, and that's what everybody sees is these videos. I was just thinking of your favorite person, Steve Bannon. And I was also thinking of another person, Vladimir Putin, who have both stated that this is what they want to do. They've both stated that they want to flood the zone with shit and with fake stories so that people can't even decipher reality anymore. That's what we have. The biggest podcast in the world, the number one podcast in the world, a guy with access to any resources he wants, has been just a victim of propaganda. And he every single day goes on there and repeats propaganda. And the propaganda he repeats is that everybody else is repeating propaganda. Like they're unaware, and that's what's dangerous. That's what's scary about where we're at as a country right now, is that there's only facts really on one side when you're talking about Trump, and the facts are not on his side. But people can't believe that the facts aren't more balanced, or that the left has the facts. So what they do is they just believe everything Donald Trump says instead. They just like sell out. They're like, all right, we just believe it all.
Yeah, there's never been a crime wave. Like first it was just crime. The pandemic, there was an increase in crime. Since the pandemic has ended or faded away, I don't even want to say it's ended because I understand current COVID numbers, but since it's lessened and people have gone back to work, right? The crime has consistently gone down. But since Trump decided not to fix the border, and they have and they like have one or couple instances of immigrants committing crimes. Now there's a migrant crime wave, which we can go over the study again, is not true. None of it is true.
Saying there was no increase of crime during the pandemic, conservative Democrat, no, there definitely was. Like crime
I said
rose.
there was an increase. I literally said that.
No, I'm saying there is somebody in the comments, conservative Democrats, saying there was none. They were trying to correct you. You're right, though. There definitely was. There was an increase, and it went up in, I think, 2020 and 2021, or maybe it was 21 and 22, and then you've seen it start to come down. I think it was 2020
highest
and
in 2021, and it came down after. It's come down after that.
Yeah. So there you go. All right, now I'll let you take control. I'm done with Joe Rogan. Now the real news.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we can go over, I think what's important, I'm trying to think of if we want to go over what I feel passionately about this morning, because it's the last thing I was focusing on.
Yeah, let's follow your heart.
Well, I guess it's all related, but okay, we can. I just want to, again, I am tired of seeing and talking about, well, let me find Okay, so number 9, I just want to go over this. I'm very tired of the narrative. Like, Republicans realized that they were caught out, right? Because the Alabama Supreme Court made a mistake in ruling against IVF before the 2024 election. That was the mistake. The mistake is not banning IVF. That is very much a right-wing thing that they want to do. If you've read Project 2025, one of the main tenets of Project 2025 is that they do not want, they only want men and women, who are in what they consider the only real type of marriage, the only real type of union, to have or raise children. They want to eliminate the LGBTQ community having, bearing and or raising children. The main way that is made possible for the LGBTQ community is through IVF. That is why they are banning IVF. It's to gain control, right, of the LGBTQs, or one reason is to gain control of the LGBTQs ability to procreate. They don't believe that they should actually be able to procreate or raise the children in a same-sex household. Like, it's all detailed out.
Right.
The next important thing to note is recreational sex, right? This has to do with the upcoming probably banning of mifepristone, but not just mifepristone, right? The banning of contraception being sent through the mail, right? This idea of sending medication through the mail and being able to stop this, to stop the most common type of abortion, which is through mifepristone, and also contraception. They want to ban contraception. This is because they believe the only time women should have sex is for procreation, not for pleasure. They want to ban recreational sex. So please get that correct. And
That's right.
And the third thing is, it's very important to know the name Tom Parker. And that's why I wanted to bring up this article. If you want to Google the article, or it'll be in the Discord, the title of the article is "The Alabama Chief Justice Who Invoked God in Deciding the Embryo Case." Okay, so his name is Tom Parker. This is a Chief Justice who is famous, right? He is famous in the far-right conservative world and in conservative think tanks like the Heritage Foundation. His decisions that he has made, the legal precedent he has set, he is literally revered in far-right circles as one of the judges who is responsible, who laid the groundwork for Roe v. Wade to be overturned. His name is Tom Parker. So
if people are wondering if Tom Parker happens to be a white guy with a comb over and a mustache, because that's what you would expect, you're correct. That is exactly who he is.
Yeah. So in an Alabama Supreme Court decision, okay, so the whole point of the decision was unborn children are children. So Chief Justice Tom Parker drew on more than the Constitution and legal precedent to explain his determination. So he wrote a separate opinion that cited, what do you think it was? Oh yeah, the Bible. Listen to this quote. "Human life cannot be wrongfully destroyed without incurring the wrath of a holy God," end quote. He wrote in a concurring opinion that invoked the book of Genesis and the prophet Jeremiah, and quoted at length from the writings of 16th and 17th century theologians. Even before birth, he added, all human beings have the image of God, and their lives cannot be destroyed without effacing his glory. What he's saying is no IVF. He's saying if medical companies, hospitals, if an embryo doesn't make it, they should be held responsible. Even before implantation, even before birth, all human beings have the image of God, and their lives cannot be destroyed without effacing his glory. He is making a religious argument to ban IVF. I just want to be clear, because now the Republicans and Trump have realized that not only they've done something that affects conservative women, like they've gaslit conservative women into somehow voting against, like convincing them it's okay that you're not allowed to make your own medical decisions. They have somehow gaslighted them into not having the same human rights, right, as people without uteruses. But now they are trying to ban IVF. Number one, so that the LGBTQ can't use it to have and raise children, right? And number two, we see in his own decision, citing the book of Genesis, as to why, right, IVF, when an embryo is destroyed, intentionally or not intentionally, someone needs to be punished because God.
Yeah, and like it's important to remember that it's an absurd argument on its face, but like this guy's job is to interpret the law. This guy's job is to rule on the law. Like there is nothing inside of our law that allows him to reference Jesus or the Bible or the Old Testament, like, or 17th century theologians. None of the things that he's citing here from the book of Genesis, like, none of those are applicable in our law. This is a rogue judge. This isn't anything other than a judge choosing that he does not care about the law, he does not care about science, he doesn't care about his job. All he's going to do now is he really liked this book. He thinks it's a really good book. It's called the Bible, and he's like, you know what? Fuck reality. I'm gonna now base laws on this fairy tale book that I really, really like.
But hold on, it's not a rogue judge. I just need to say that. This isn't rogue. This is a guy who is revered in conservative judicial circles. Like, his legal precedent has propped up the overturning of Roe v. Wade. They believe he's like a literal legal genius. So he's not gone rogue. Like, his own precedent this is the norm on the right. His own precedent is responsible for the overturning of Roe v. Wade. He's not gone rogue. This is the guy they prop up as their leader.
Yeah, that's a good point. Rogue was a bad word.
So just understand that they don't think this guy is gone off, and done his own thing, and wow, that's too far. They say, look at this guy, we need more of him. All of the far right conservative judges that have been installed, that believe that now we're seeing these crazy rulings, like the judge in San Antonio or whatever, about mifepristone and everything. This is the ideology that they follow. It's him. It's Tom Parker.
Yeah. Good friend, aide, supporter of Roy Moore. Again, a guy who's abusing children. Republicans don't actually care about children. They just really, really don't like the LGBTQ people. That's really what this is about. They don't like LGBTQ people. If they cared about, like, this guy's not going to support Roy Moore if he cares about children, is he?
And it does come from that. Like, please, I'm always referencing The Birth Dearth, which is a book by a man named Ben J. Wattenberger, who was an advisor to many U.S. presidents, but Ronald Reagan. And in that book, it's about the loss of the white majority, right? And the fear of the decreasing white birth rate. And they talk about ways to increase the birth rate. But the problem is, and one of the things they're talking about in that book is, but we don't want to increase the minority birth rate. And literally that argument is made that, like, well, European countries pay women or subsidize women to have children. Maybe we should do that. But then they literally say, oh, no, we can't do that because we don't want to increase every birth rate in this country, just the white birth rate. And this is very similar with IVF. They will ban it all because they believe that is the path for the LGBTQ to reproduce. That's their only option. So taking that away means they won't have, they believe it's a problem that households, same-sex households, have and are raising children. That is one of the biggest tenets of Project 2025. It's how to stop that from happening. It suggests rehoming children who are currently being raised by same-sex couples. It goes that far. Conservative Democrat. No, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I just have the ability to read.
Yeah, I can read.
At any time, you also can read, but it's very clear that you have no intention of doing that. So live in ignorance. That's your choice.
Yeah, look, what's sad about this is that this judge, obviously this judge, this is insane. Did you see the clip? You maybe have it of, I don't remember if I saw it on your list or somewhere else, of Tommy Tuberville, like, being asked about this ruling and just completely
that was from last
bungling it.
Friday's outline.
Yeah.
And he's so that's the thing that we were pointing out last Friday. You saw it from Tommy Tuberville. You saw it from Byron Donalds. They don't understand. They did not understand, or did understand, but didn't want to corner themselves, right? In saying, like, they're saying, oh no, embryos are people. But if embryos are people, then IVF is illegal. right? Like you can't have it both ways. And you saw Tommy Tuberville being like, yeah, it's good. Embryos are people. And they're like, well, then IVF can't happen if that's the case. And he's like, oh, well, that's
he's like, we need to protect children. We need to have
because
more
I want
children.
more white children in his head. But then he's like, so it was very at odds. Like the same thing happened to Byron Donalds. They're like, embryos are people, but wait a minute, like we want to increase the birth rate. So that's the run-in. So now there is a Republican in the state Senate in Alabama who I also believe I read was a doctor, and he wants to essentially protect IVF. So to say that only after the embryo is implanted, right? So I guess then, if it results in a miscarriage, then we can prosecute that woman. She's a murderer. She's an unaliver. Let's prosecute her, but not the actual hospitals who are doing the implantation if they lose an embryo. So they want it to be like, once implanted, then, we will prosecute if anything happens, if a miscarriage happens. So that's the goal, and that's what they're talking about possibly doing now. But I want you to understand that the conservative think tanks, the plan very much is and was to ban IVF.
Yeah, look, it's almost like the Republican, I mean, I guess it is rehashing, but like we've already done this. Like we've slowly over time done this. There were people who were against IVF from the start. There were people who were against stem cell treatments from the start, right? And their argument essentially was like, "Oh, God is in control. We can't have science be part of this." That happened all the time. Like, we've already done this, and they're going backwards. Now they're going back to try and undo all of these things. My question for Byron Donalds is like, what do you think is going to happen to you, Byron? Welcome.
How you doing?
Good. You had a lot to say today.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why do you think we're just we're reading articles here, and one of the things you said is that we're just making up things on the spot. Do you feel like we're making up these articles here?
Some of the stuff you're talking about.
Like what?
Well, everything I commented about.
Well, I can't go back and see that, so I was wondering, just out of curiosity, what you thought we were making up.
Okay, everything.
So this Alabama ruling didn't happen.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Oh, okay, so not everything. Okay, what about all the Rogan clips we played? Those were all fake too?
Oh, I didn't hear that. I didn't come in when we were playing that.
Okay, so I'm very confused what you think we are saying that we're making up. Because here's what it seems like to me, if we're just being honest. It seems like to me that you don't, no matter what liberals say, you're just going to give the stock response of you're making that up, you're a liar, liberals are dumb. That's what it feels like.
No, I responded to lies.
Which lies, though? Like we have not told a single lie yet today. Those are coming later. So far, we haven't done the lies yet.
Okay.
Well, do you think it's silly that like you can't tell me what lies we told?
They're all lies, dude. You guys,
See, that's why I said I told you you're just going to say everything we say is lies. That's what I just told you would do, and you're like, no, that's not what I'm going to do, and then you did that.
Bullshit.
Wait, but that's what I just told you were going to do. I'm like, you're just going to say everything's a lie, even if you don't know, and you're like, no, and then that's immediately
anybody
what you
with
just
common
did.
sense, RTP, can listen to the shit you guys talk about and tell that.
All right, well then tell me what I'm wrong about.
All of it.
Because your
Did you not hear me
sense.
say all of it, RTP?
And then I asked you, okay, so did this Alabama ruling happen?
Probably not the way you guys are describing it.
Well, how do you think it happened?
I don't know. I live in California.
You don't have the internet in California?
Yeah, I do. I don't care.
So that's what I said, dude. See, this is the thing. I said no matter what we say, you're going to assume it's a lie.
Yeah, because
like we're reading.
Liars
you understand? We're
going to be
quoting.
liars.
Wait, hold on. You understand? We're quoting the person who gave the decision, right? These are direct quotes. How could these be lies?
Decision, the Chief Justice, Alabama Justice Tom Parker's decision of why IVF should be banned. That we're reading it.
Okay. You guys keep serving up liberal.
See, this is the thing. What's your problem with liberals? That's the real question. What's your problem with liberals?
They support Joe Biden.
What's wrong with Joe Biden?
He's a horrible president.
Why?
Are you 50-year high inflation? Proxy.
We're not at a 50-year high in inflation right now. We're at like 3%.
Oh, okay, after 3 years, RTB. Come on, man. He did
Why
a
do you
horrible
think?
job.
Okay, why did we have inflation?
If you want to talk about it, we can talk about
Let's
it.
talk about it. What caused the inflation?
Right as soon as he got in office, he stopped drilling on federal land and offshore, which took away 24% of our oil production.
That's not true, but
Complete
that's
lie.
a complete lie.
That is
Now who's
true.
lying? Cite that
Drilling
source.
more than we've ever drilled in United States history, and you don't
Okay.
even know that.
He's
You have
drilling
no
more, but it
idea
didn't
what you're
reflect the
talking
price of
about.
goods or gas.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you do admit what you just said is a lie. I just want to
No.
clarify.
No, I didn't.
Okay,
Wait,
because you
but-
just made something up.
Wait, but our oil production didn't drop by 24%. You made that number up.
For
Or
the
somebody
first
told it to you and you're
2 years
repeating it.
did.
Okay, what's your source on that?
Google.
Google. Oh, now we trust you. Okay. So when Google tells me that the United States right now, under Joe Biden, has drilled more than under any presidency in history, Google's lying there?
Yeah, of course.
Of course, of course.
Bring up the article.
I don't know which article you're talking about, brother.
You're the one talking about it. I'm not the one talking about it. You're talking about, you could find an article that shows that Joe Biden produced more
Okay.
oil.
Do you
follow up.
understand? Well, while he's gonna, because it's a fact that we're
it's a
drilling more than we've
non-credible
ever
source, right?
drilled in U.S. history. Can I ask you a question? Like, do you understand that it doesn't make sense in your line of logic that if Google says something you like, then you trust it as a source, but if Google says something you don't
you're
like,
saying
then
there's
your
propaganda
response
on
is
both
that
sides.
Google's full of shit. It can't be both. Do you see that? Like,
Why can't it?
either? No, you.
Why can't something be right and wrong at the same time?
Why wouldn't people lie to us on both sides?
Nobody said that. All right. So this is from the U.S. Energy Information Administration. They're the ones that posted all the numbers under Trump and Biden. Output from the lower 40, and this is the numbers from 2023. Output from the lower 48 states, excluding waters in the Gulf of Mexico, increased to a record 10.8 million barrels a day, according to the U.S. Information Administration. Output was up 955,000 barrels a day, plus 10% compared to the year earlier, though growth slowed modestly to an annualized rate of 8%. Now, if we grow by 8%, does that mean it went up or down?
Up, but if
Up.
it went
Okay,
up,
so under Joe Biden, we have new
First of all, your
historic.
source
Wait.
is incredible at all.
Wait. That was the middle of my sentence. So under Joe Biden, we have a record. Again, I'll read that again. Production has wait, that was the wrong one. Crude and condensate production rose to a record 13.1 million barrels per day in August, surpassing the previous peak of 13 million set in November 2019. Who was president in November of 2019?
Trump.
Who? Trump was. Okay, and that was the all-time high, 13 million barrels a day. And under Joe Biden, we've hit 13.1 million barrels per day.
That should
Is
reflect-
13
that
is
should reflect the
13.1
price of
higher?
gas,
Is
right?
13.1 higher or lower than 13?
It's higher.
Okay,
But
so we're
still
drilling
doing
more under Joe
25.
Biden. You said a 24% drop. We have
That's right.
We have-
No, it's not.
That's
right.
not right. That's not the number.
Because you're referring to what
Stats?
what's your source? No.
Data?
What was your source?
The U.S. Energy Information Administration.
Well, I have another source I want to submit because this lays it out for you.
Interrupt me.
Oh, I'm sorry.
not
I
reputable.
do apologize for interrupting
What?
you. Go
They're a
ahead.
private source of information.
No, they're not. It's EIA.gov, you dumb dick.
Yeah, they're not.
That was a good try, though.
.gov. Gov stands for government.
But
It's
they're
the
not
same people that
affiliated
reported
or
Trump's
recognized.
numbers. The
They're not
same exact
affiliated
people.
or recognized.
Yes, the same people that tracked the oil production under Trump are tracking the oil production for Biden. Yes, this is the government source. It's the government source that everyone
No, it is
cites.
not.
Yes, it is. We can't help you be any less
Everything I
dumb
don't like
at
is
this
bad.
point. Like, you beyond help. This is the same source that tracked before that Trump was drilling the most. The same source that allows you to say that prior to Biden beating the record, Trump held the record, right? And you value that stat. You hold that one up. Like, it's all the same. If you want it to be true for
lived through
Trump,
it.
then it's true for
I lived
Biden.
through it. You can't lie to me about that.
You lived through. Were you counting the barrels
Like
per
I
day?
said,
Is
I
that
lived
what you
through
were
it.
doing? Is that what you were doing? You were counting the barrels per day? Your lived experience doesn't mean anything when it comes to the data. See, this is the problem. You're upset with liberals, but your real problem is that facts don't back you up, and you don't do any real research of your own. You are literally
not
just
letting me
like
state
you are
the
literally
facts.
just like you're the product of repeated propaganda and hatred towards the left. You just hate us, but what you can't do is debate us because you don't have any facts. And when the facts are in your face, you just close your eyes and go,
Guys,
the real
tap the
problem
screen.
you have with liberals is you're not smart enough to be in a discussion with somebody. That's the real problem.
Is that
So
what
if
it
you
is?
walk away, if you just
I'm
walk
not the
away
one on
from
the
it,
TikTok every day lying to everybody.
I'm not lying.
followers.
You just did. One of us has lied today in this conversation, and it was you.
two of you
when
have.
you when it was you,
24%.
When you said it went down 24%, you're the only person so far that's lied today.
No, I didn't lie. That's facts.
Then show me the data that says it dropped by 24%.
Well, RTP, you're so good at research.
Well, I don't want to do
You're
data.
so good at research. You got
I
a
just
computer
did it.
right there. Start looking.
Well,
I did, and it went up.
Can I
It went up.
do some research?
Yeah, you
This
don't
is
want to
my-
look at the stuff I was talking about.
Let me
that you're
read it
accusing
to
me of being
you.
a liar about.
Let me read you my research. So the United States is set to produce a global record of 13.3 barrels per day of crude and condensate during the fourth quarter of this year. So this article is from December of 2023. So this last December, right? This is according to a report published by the S&P Global Commodity Oil is a Commodity Insights. Last month, weekly U.S. oil production hit 13.2 million barrels per day, according to the U.S. Energy Information Administration. That's the site that Jay's reading from. That's just above the Donald Trump era record of 13.1 million set in early 2020, just before the COVID-19 crisis sent output and prices crashing. So Trump
So
had the
that's
previous
the
record. Hey, I'm trying to say you were right about that. Trump had the previous record, but in December 2023, Biden broke his own record again and reached 13.3. So that's the point.
Okay, if that were true, we would see the price reflection in fuel.
No, it's
and
not.
goods.
By the way, so I found your 20.
Explain to you how that
Yeah.
works.
Okay, and so let's say everything you guys are saying is true.
It
You
is.
Expect everybody to forget for 3 years he shit on our country?
When did he shit on our country? By the way, I found the 24%. What he's talking about is the 24% is the price of oil. The price of oil in 2020, March 8th of 2020, which, correct me if I'm wrong, that was right after Trump made that oil deal where he said we've got to lower the price of oil. It went down 24%. The only other time I can find any reference to 24% of oil is
Okay, so that's the
Nigeria.
price, not production rate. So that's what you're confusing. And it went down because of that deal and also because of the pandemic, right? Nobody was driving. Demand for gas goes down. Prices are low, right?
All right, you back?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
During the pandemic, there was not less gas used. Donald Trump gave too much money out to the point where
There was way
People
less
were
gas
locked in their
used.
houses. They were driving cars around their house. What are you saying?
That's why the
locked in
price.
their
Why do you wait? Do you understand
Who's
what
locked in their houses?
Hold on. Do you understand what supply and demand, like how that works in oil?
Yeah, that's what I'm
so
trying to
it's
explain
okay.
to
So
you guys.
if we have a high,
Biden's producing
hold
more,
on,
but it
hold
doesn't
on. Hey,
reflect on
hey,
price-
we're
the
gonna have
price
a
of goods.
conversation here. I'm just asking you a question. If we have a high supply of oil and a low demand, would the price go up or down?
The price would go down.
Correct. And during the pandemic, most states and most people were working from home. Does that not eliminate a whole bunch of travel?
Dude,
I
Donald
know,
Trump
I
gave
know,
more
I
money to
know.
people than
Does
what
that
they
not
can earn.
eliminate? No, answer the question.
I did. I am, but you don't want to hear it. Donald Trump gave people more money than what they can earn.
But what about the
That
oil
stimulated
production?
the economy in a way
we're
where-
talking. No. Now you're running. Because the question I asked you was, were people staying at home more often during the pandemic?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So that would drive the demand down, right?
Sure.
So that would drive the price down, right?
Not below $2.
So yeah, no, that's exactly what happened. When you guys want to credit Donald Trump for gas prices, what you should really credit is the people who stayed at home during COVID. That's who should really get credit for lowering the price of gas, because they weren't driving as much, and basic supply and demand says the price is going to go down. Now, Donald Trump is simultaneously taking credit for the drop in gas prices and saying that we shouldn't have had lockdowns and that people were fine. Interesting. If we would have all listened to you guys, if we would have all done what you guys were doing, gas prices wouldn't have dropped. In fact, they would have went up, because there were oil production leveled off, and in some countries almost completely shut down. So if we would have done what you guys wanted, gas prices would have went up, which is exactly what we saw happening to gas prices. Which is exactly what we saw happening to gas prices.
Yeah, what did we want?
Which is exactly what we saw to gas prices when the pandemic ended and people went back to work. What happened then? When people started going back to work, when people stay with me. Stay with me. I know you're angry. I know we're angry. When people started going back to work and the pandemic ended, did gas prices go up or did they go down?
I'm sorry, you're going to have to ask that again because I didn't hear you.
Yeah, because you were talking, but I'll try it again. So when the pandemic ended and people started going back to work, the lockdowns were ended, did gas prices go up or did they go down?
They went up.
Yeah. Welcome to supply and demand, man. Stop making everything political. The price of gas goes up and down based on supply and demand. Supply and demand.
Political.
What's that?
Dude, you're full of shit, bro.
Everything I just said was right. You just agreed with me. How am I full of shit? You just agreed with me. What do you mean I'm full of shit? You just said they went back up. We agree. How are you mad at me right now?
The fact that it would reflect the price, but not the way you're saying it is reflecting the price.
What is that? I didn't say it reflect the price. I said, did the price go up or down when more people needed gas?
And then what was the other lies you were spewting after that?
Those weren't lies. What do you mean other lies? Was that a lie? Is anything? Have you shown anything that I said yet to be a lie?
That wasn't a lie, but what you said after that is the habitual lie and a
what's the habitual lie that I said after that?
Go ahead, say it. You know what you said, right? Or did you forget?
Wait, yeah. Wait, I was talking about supply and demand. I said it's not political. Is that what you're saying?
You were saying that we make everything political.
I said, yeah, you do. Like Republicans politicize literally everything because your politicians are so bad at legislating and governing, and they don't get anything done that they're left with only one option, and that's to complain and blame Democrats. Because you guys can't get anything passed. All your ideas are unpopular. All the people you keep electing are unpopular. And, by the way, stupid. And so you can't get anything done. Your entire platform, your entire existence, conservative Democrat, is to complain about liberals. You don't know any stats about anything. You're just upset that we keep winning.
I don't know your stats.
You don't know yours. You said that we dropped oil production by 24%. That was a flat-out lie. Flat-out lie.
No, it isn't.
Then cite your source, because I Googled what you asked me to Google, and nothing pulls up.
Yeah,
and you said Google. Said Google was the source.
Listen, you want the answer? Ever since the Biden administration took over censoring the internet, it's not there no more.
How are they censoring the internet? Explain that to me.
Don't
explain to me how they're censoring the internet. Explain that.
Well, they're supposedly censoring the internet for Trump misinformation, but
how is the Biden administration responsible for that?
I don't know.
Yeah, of course you don't know. You just heard it once, and it resonates with you, right? Wait, do you hear yourself? When
No,
I
do you
ask
hear
you, when I
yourself?
ask you to defend your claims, you say I don't know. Why are you
Well, it
so
doesn't
sure
make
you're
sense to
right
me
when you
how
wait?
how
Hold on.
liberals
Wait.
operate. You're asking
Why
me
are
how
you
liberals
so
operate. I
sure?
can't
Wait. Why
tell
are
you.
you so sure that you're right if you can't defend a single claim that you're making? Why are you sure that you're right?
I have.
No, you haven't. But I just asked you a question. You said I don't know. If you don't know the answer, then why are you sure that you're
You're
right?
asking me what a liberal's opinion is or their point of view.
No. I asked you to explain to me how liberals are how Joe Biden is censoring the internet, and you said I don't know.
No, I did not say I don't know.
Okay, then explain it to me.
But you know so much.
Okay, then
and you
explain
don't
it to
know
me.
about that.
Explain it to me. How's Joe Biden censoring the internet?
Have you ever tried to go into Google and search?
I've just been searching a whole bunch of stuff.
And then go over to DuckDuckGo and then go do the same search.
Yeah, wait, DuckDuckGo uses Google.
No, it does not.
Yeah, it is. It's just,
And you don't even know that, and
No, it
that's
does not.
wait, no,
that's hilarious. That's hilarious.
it's a browser, dude. It's a browser, brother. It's a browser.
Yeah, it does not work off of the same engine.
Okay,
Google,
of course
Google
not. It's a different
tracks your
company.
Google tracks your data. Does DuckDuckGo that?
Yeah, by the way,
they
DuckDuckGo.
don't.
Wait, DuckDuckGo got busted harvesting data, despite the fact that they said they wouldn't. Oh yeah, they're not allowing cookies. Are you telling me DuckDuckGo isn't collecting cookies?
I'm gonna be focused on you here soon. This is not the conservative Democrat, but I'll be focusing on you pretty soon.
You got retributions after you now.
You're gonna be a part of my meme soon, boy.
What's your name?
Retributions.
Your name's Retributions?
Yep.
Listen, I'm not afraid of you because you're remarkably dumb, both of you. Both of you are too stupid to pull off anything.
Kid, have you even
Kid,
Yeah,
I'm 37 years old, and I'm I'm miles past you
what have you done with
in
your
terms
life?
of
What have you done with
intelligence.
your life?
Are you threatening me now? Are you threatening me because you're dumb? You got backed into a dumb corner, and now you're threatening me? Is that what we're doing?
Ain't nobody threatening you, dude.
Well, then what were you saying? What did that mean then? What's retribution?
You just said that he's after us. You literally just said that out of your own mouth.
Besides the
In a
influencer,
debate, liberal.
besides the influencer on TikTok, what do you do for a living, kid?
Why does that matter?
Oh, you don't have a job. You're a bum.
No, I do this. I get paid for my opinion.
Yeah, and you're not even very good at it either.
Better than you. I at least know
You're
numbers.
better than me. Shows you're on the wrong side.
It does show. You guys
You're
are
on the wrong
remarkably
side, kid.
dumb. You
You're on
guys
the
are
wrong
both
side.
dumb. Here's the problem. You've been led to believe that your opinion
you're thrown in.
We're going to mute that. You've been led to believe that your opinion holds value, and you think your opinion holds value because you're surrounded by other stupid people who also don't fact check. So you sit around and you circle jerk with each other about your opinions, and you're like, "Yeah, we must be right. We're so smart." But then when you get put on a stage, you didn't have to come up here. You guys didn't have to show up. When you show up and we ask you just to explain your positions, which is all I did, you start threatening people. All I asked you to do is explain a position, and you started threatening me. Like the fragility of both of you is astounding. Grow the fuck up. You're muted, so nobody's heard a word you've said. I know this is difficult for you Republicans to use technology. You're gonna have to unmute yourself.
Since you know everything, kid, let's talk about some diplomatic policies, huh?
Let's talk about some diplomatic things, kid.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it.
Been proven to be lying about everything you said domestically. Now we can move to foreign
Ukraine,
policy.
huh? Let's talk about Ukraine.
Talk about Ukraine.
Yeah, let's go. What do you know? Nothing, apparently.
Do you understand how
wanna
debate
talk
works?
about?
You have
It's
to
like
take a position.
turning you into a
Take a
meme, kid.
position. You don't
I'm going to have so much fun turning you into me.
take a position on something.
Look at this. I don't understand why your side is so
I'm
brave.
not. Yeah, I know you don't
behind the
understand.
screen. But in person, you wouldn't disrespect a lot of us like this.
I would
call
say
it
all
sir.
of this right
You would
to your
call it
face.
sir.
You realize you're the one not on camera right now, right? Everybody
You're the
sees my
coward.
face.
Coward here.
Everybody
I'm not.
sees her face.
Turn on
You're
your
the coward
camera.
that doesn't have
Turn
a
on
camera
your
on.
camera,
I'm
coward.
not. You're the coward here.
Turn on
I'm
your
on camera.
camera,
Let me ask you
coward.
this, kid. Let me
Someone
ask
up
you
here is
this.
a coward.
Did you serve your did you serve your
Someone up
country?
here is a
Did you
coward.
s-
I would meet you, if you ever, wanted to meet, I would meet you anywhere and tell you to your face that you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Because you don't. Why are you so sure that you're right about things? You haven't brought a single piece of data to this argument. Not one. And then you're like, let's talk about Ukraine. I'm like, all right, what do you want to talk about?
Tell me something you know about Ukraine.
What do you want to talk about with Ukraine? Kid? Are we running now? Come on, sweetheart. All right. I guess they're going to go. All right. That was fun.
I don't even know what to say about that. Like, I'm sorry that you don't know what you're talking about, and that hurts your feelings. And so you threaten us because your feelings are hurt because you didn't know any facts about what you were talking about. What does that have to do with us? Nothing.
Can we point out the fact
That's a
that
you problem.
that he had to call in backup because we asked him for sources? He's like, I don't know what to do. I better bring my friend in here. And they're like, I know what I'll do. I'll just threaten them and call them kid. It's beautiful. All right. Well, let's get back.
I mean, it's like you act like it's a joke, but that, like, to me, as a woman, it's very much not a joke. Like, I have my life constantly threatened on this app, which for a woman is very disturbing. And for what? For existing? For reading?
Yeah, for reading the words of the Alabama judge. That's the thing. Republicans at this point, where they're at, and you've covered this. You'll cover a bunch of this later in the show. The rhetoric has just turned violent. It's now a war. Everything is violence. Everything is good versus evil. And it's because in situations like this, people can't admit that they don't know something. They've been so indoctrinated and they don't have any facts to back those things up that it's frustrating. I get it. I've been in a cult before. I get it. It sucks. It sucks when the facts aren't on your side. But it takes a real grown up, somebody who is confident in themselves to admit, hey, I was wrong, and then just move on. But instead, there's the fragility of Republican men just backed into a corner and start threatening.
But I just want to make the point that for me as a woman, when the fragility of Republican men puts my life in danger, and it's not something to laugh about. It's not a joke. It's something I have to fight through every day. And it's upsetting that because you're wrong and can't deal with that I should live in fear.
Yeah. Good point. But he was a Democrat. This is from, here's a palate cleanser. Karen sent a donation and said for the Roger Stone Nixon tattoo. That's still going. We're still working on that. And then
Tap the screen, guys. Let's get to 100K.
Samantha says,
yeah, and he wasn't a Democrat. We shouldn't even say it jokingly because it's disgraceful to everything that we all believe in.
He's a Democrat in the same way David is, except for that guy's way worse than David. This is a lighthearted F. Mary Banish variation. Vacation, emigrate, I see. Instead of F. Mary Banish, it's vacation, emigrate, or ignore forever. Sweden, Spain, Thailand.
Sweden, Spain, Thailand. Well, I enjoy the Scandinavian democracy, so I would probably, I don't know though, the weather is so harsh, so would I marry Sweden to live in Scandinavian democracy? Yeah, I'm gonna say yes, because I do want to live in Denmark as well, so I'll probably marry Sweden. My sister used to live in Thailand, so I actually, so I'd probably banish Thailand because I already know a lot about it, and I'd probably have one night in Spain.
I think I'm the opposite. I think I'm gonna emigrate to Spain because I know that I know there's some like warm spots there. I'm gonna vacation in Thailand, and I'm gonna banish Sweden because I feel like Denmark exists and they're the same. They're just the same. So there's already another Sweden. It's called Denmark. So I think we're good. And Norway. Norway is also Sweden. Norway, Denmark, and Sweden are all Sweden. And then we have one more here.
Oh, do you want to talk to this guy that threatened us? Because he's requesting. That's fine. I'm fine.
I guess we can. This is from Toby. Toby said Mondays are for soaking. Yeah, well,
that's true, Toby.
Hi, Retribution.
I was there the entire conversation. No one threatened you.
It's being recorded, so you could stop saying that. Well, I'm just saying it is recorded, so you don't need to lie. And if you didn't threaten us, then turn your camera on. Turn your camera on.
When other people are talking, wait your turn, okay, sweetheart? You're muted. You gotta on. There you go.
Simping this guy's not gonna get you anywhere, woman. Now, what were you saying, coward? Speak up. Let's talk about Ukraine.
Yeah, what do you want to talk about with Ukraine?
Anything. I mean, let's talk about the
pass.
money.
No, if you want to bring up a specific topic, we can.
How much has he sent over? How much has he sent over? Do you know? Do you know the
total?
number?
Who's he?
Biden.
Congress sends a lot
Well,
of that.
since it's a lend-lease act. No, stop talking, because you already don't know what you're talking about. It's a lend-lease act. It's a lend-lease act. Do you understand what a lend-lease act is? So we haven't sent anything over. It's a lend-lease act. So you're wrong about that.
Let the coward talk. Now you can.
She's got to take care of. No, respond to Felice. No, Felice said. No, I got to mute you. Felice said it's a lend-lease act. Do you know what that is? What is a lend-lease act, sweetheart? You're muted. What is a lend-lease act? Oh my God, dude! If you can't work your phone, you got to change your name from Retribution.
The bottom middle of your
there you go.
Kid. I guarantee you, I know how to work my phone better than you do.
Terrific. What is a lend-lease act?
We're not talking about.
Yes, we are. That's exactly what we're talking about.
It's been sent to Ukraine was done. Everything sent to Ukraine. Everything sent to Ukraine was done under something called Ukraine Democracy Defense Lend-Lease Act of 2021. So,
you're gonna have to unmute again. Listen again while other people are talking. That's not your turn, okay, sweetheart? Now, there you go, sweetheart.
Come on, man.
What's that?
You support a child sniffer.
What's a lend-lease? What is a lend-lease act?
Hey, if you're gonna
what is a lend-lease act, sweetheart?
You're gonna have to try better than that, kid.
I'm just asking you questions.
Why is it that the lefties always
what is a lend-lease act? You wanted to talk about it. Let's talk about it. I thought you were gonna march circles around us.
Why are you deflecting?
Because you don't understand that the money to Ukraine is
I'm pretty sure you don't understand. You support a incompetent, senile, child-sniffing president.
Cool. So what is a lend-lease act? Mister, I can work my phone. Take 45 more seconds to unmute. Come on, Boomer. There we go. There we go.
Boomer.
What is a lend-lease act? You have one because you keep talking over people.
You're a nobody, man.
Lend-lease act. You don't even have your real name or real picture there.
Bye,
and you're just trying. I know. You're so big and tough. Everybody knows who you are.
Yeah. Bye-bye now.
Doesn't know how to leave. Doesn't know how to leave.
Steve, this
Can't
is
figure
so
out how to
sad.
leave.
This is a sad moment. Running but can't run. No one help him. We'll just let him
Just
struggle.
let it sit here for a
Yeah.
while he tries to figure out how to leave.
He wanted to threaten us again and leave, but can't
Yeah.
leave. It's so embarrassing.
Still there.
Doesn't
He's
even
still
know
there.
that we're lending and leasing things. We doesn't know. Doesn't even know what a lend lease act is. Has never read a government document, but has opinions.
I'll help you out, sweetheart. There we go. There we go. Oh, it's hard. It's hard. All right. Block both those two morons. I don't need to talk to either one of those idiots ever again. That's ridiculous. There you go. For the if there are conservatives here, let's talk about that. Like, how do you feel about the fact that, like, those are the people willing to have a discussion? That's it. Like, those are the people that are willing to have a discussion. Pretty cool crowd. Let's go there. I should have. Jen said, "Tell him a woman is muting him."
That's hilarious.
All right, let's move. Sorry, let's move on to something a little less stupid and a little less heavy. Let's go to. Okay, this is one I didn't read, or I read it. I didn't get it. Maybe you can explain to me. This is number 36. MAGA's new conspiracy about Catherine Herridge. This is trending on Twitter. I don't really get what's going on. Can you explain it to me?
Well, it's just all. Yeah. Did you read the articles? It's
No, I was
it's so,
paywalled.
by CBS. Yeah, so CBS refutes claim it seized Catherine Herridge's personal files. So Catherine Herridge is a journalist who worked at CBS and who lied. It looks like now she lied, because if she didn't lie, I doubt they would be refuting it, but basically said that she was fired. And this is someone who has been, in her writings, very critical of Joe Biden. Most recently, wrote a piece, I think about, Robert Hur, narrativizing, in his report when he was saying he's not going to be prosecuting Joe Biden, things like that. So they consider her a right-leaning journalist. And she said that when she was let go, which it's largely documented, CBS didn't I just want to be clear, CBS didn't fire one person. They made it very public and laid off 800 people, which is in the first part of this article. So again, if you want to look it up, it's called CBS News Refutes Claim It Seized Catherine Herridge's Personal Files, because she was fired in a mass layoffs, because largely CBS, bought by Paramount, large overhaulings are going on within that system because a lot of shows aren't successful and they are firing people. Mass layoffs are happening.
Looks
So
like down
she said-
77% over the past 5 years, their shares.
She says that they seized her personal files and articles, and why she was saying that, which they are actively refuting that they ever did. And since that came out, no, she hasn't refuted it back. They said she can have her stuff if she wants it. That none of this is true. But she tried to basically claim, it's at The Hill on Thursday. Oh yeah, so this is even better. This is where this came from, which is the best part. I'm sorry, I forgot the best part. Guess who started this entire thing?
Somebody,
Turley.
Joe Biden.
Jonathan Turley,
no.
the libertarian lawyer who's trying to get back in the good graces of Donald Trump. Because why? Jonathan Turley is the lawyer who, spoke, let's say in hearings, he's the number one lawyer that shows up to congressional hearings for the Republicans, which he was at the Twitter file hearings where they're you're not an expert witness, be quiet. But then he showed up to the impeachment hearings and did something unprecedented. In his opening 5 minutes said, there's not enough evidence to even be here. You can investigate, but you can't impeach with no evidence. This is an abuse of the impeachment process. He largely echoed what what's his name, the libertarian lawyer from that used to be in charge, Alan Dershowitz, that is Trump's bestie. Even Alan Dershowitz went on Fox with Maria Bartiromo and explained to her for like 3 minutes that the impeachment process is being abused, and this is right before Mayorkas was impeached the second time. And he said that the impeachment should be dropped against Mayorkas and against Joe Biden. So this is Jonathan Turley, who's trying to get back at the good graces of the Republican Party. He wrote this. CBS faces uproar after seizing investigative journalist files. So that's he's a writer for The Hill. If you want to look that article up, you can. But that's why this article came out, the one I was just reading from. CBS News refutes claim it seized Catherine Herridge's personal files because Jonathan Turley is saying something that didn't happen. Okay, and this is why. So this is especially notable because Herridge, who was working as a CBS senior investigative correspondent and had been with the news division since 2019, has been involved in a court case in which she has refused to reveal her sources stemming from an investigative piece she wrote while working for Fox News in 2017. So Jonathan Turley is making it seem unfairly that they're keeping her notes, and he's suggesting, right? He doesn't directly say it, but is implying like CBS is confiscating her notes. Those notes have information about this Fox source from a 2017 article or from a 2017 case, and like implying that they would leak it. You know what I'm saying? That's why they're saying like this is somebody who's protecting a right-wing source, and now CBS has seized her files. Okay, so
there's nothing that they won't turn into a conspiracy.
Yeah,
this
Catherine's
is crazy.
Personal belongings were delivered to her home 1 week ago, and we are prepared to pack up the rest of her files immediately on her behalf with her representative present, as she requested. So they're saying she already knows we're going to give her files. She requested to have a representative present, and that's going to happen. We are waiting for a response from Catherine and/or her representative to do so. We have respected her request to not go through the files and are concerned for confidential sources. The office she occupied has remained secure since her departure. Because if CBS News was in the habit of going through the personal notes and files of journalists, nobody would work there anymore, because the only reason journalists get stories from anonymous sources is because they can protect them. So none of this makes any sense.
I mean, wouldn't that stuff be, I know oftentimes they'll use like encrypted sources. They'll use Telegram, and they'll use like encrypted phone numbers. I guess maybe that's how Telegram works. I've never used it. Maybe it's just an encrypted phone number, but that would be something only she would really have access to, right? So they're saying like this could just be on her devices, like Telegram or whatever it might be is on the devices. I don't even understand really what
No, they're just saying
they make it sound like it's like a notebook,
but nobody knows specifically what's in them. The whole story is wrong. They're not seizing them. They never were. And nobody knows what's in her notes or not in her notes. So we could speculate like the name is on one 8.5 by 11 piece of paper of each of her confidential sources she's ever had in life. But nobody knows that. Like, this is just a case of Jonathan Turley saying something and CBS saying, actually, that's factually completely not true. Here's the real story.
I'm reading here like he used to work for CBS. This is like a weirdly like non-sourced article. Yeah, I don't.
There's
like
no sources. He wrote it,
yeah.
And which it seems like the only person, I don't know. And again, nobody knows because nobody else is reporting on this, because it ended up that all that happened was Jonathan Turley wrote an article and CBS came out and said, hey, that's not true. So no one else is reporting on it because it's a lie. And so I don't know. Like, we could speculate all day. Does he know Catherine Herridge? Did she call him and tell him that? And so he decided to write the article. But CBS said that's not true. They've given their side, and that's all that's come of this.
Yeah, weird. Yeah, I'm just trying to look through here. Like,
But
he
all
cites
over far right media, because they're not.
But what are they claiming?
They're
Like, what's
low
their claim
informa-
here?
Like, listen, I don't know what you want me to say.
No,
I
that's
just
the whole
told you
claim?
the story. Jonathan Turley wrote an article that said that Catherine Herridge's personal files were not going to be given back to her. CBS then responded and said, that's not true. We delivered her personal belongings, and she asked to have a representative president when we pack up her files, which we agreed to, and we're waiting to hear from her to do that.
Right. The question I'm asking is like, just reading this, I don't even really understand what right wingers would be upset about here, other than like you said, maybe to protect a source. But like this is a low bar for even right wingers to get upset. Like, there's no dots connected.
It's because
here.
Jonathan Turley, you have to read his article, but he's saying, like, because confidential sources are in journalists' files, that journalists solely protect their sources. That's why you see journalists sit in prison sometimes over courts trying to, get them to give up their sources. That's why it's a journalist's personal responsibility to protect their sources. And so if her files hypothetically were being seized, and she couldn't take them with her, then the inference is that those sources are not being protected. That's the only thing. They're saying this is happening because CBS is discriminating against one far right journalist. Again, they fired 800. They laid off 800 people, a huge percentage of their news division. So that first claim, is it true? They never confiscated her files. Like, she can have her representative president present when they pack them up. And that's the story. But because Jonathan Turley is the one lawyer or a couple lawyers, that they feel represent him, the minute he wrote this article, they said, See, this is why left-wing media is trying to discriminate against us, and that's what happened. And they don't need facts. It doesn't matter that CBS came out and said, hey, none of this is true. Like, they don't care. So they've been all over far-right media all weekend saying that this is happening.
Do you think this will be, because I know that Herridge is somebody that like covered... that's the one above that, covered the Hunter Biden story. Do you think this is now going to be their go-to defense? Is that like they're not even allowing the sources that or the journalists that covered it fairly? Is that Jonathan Turley's pivot now after saying like there's no evidence here, but now we're just going to go after the media and turn this into a smear on the media?
No, because I think Jonathan Turley's a lawyer and understands why. Like, he hasn't said anything that I know of since he said this, because then he would have to refute CBS's story, like that's not the truth, and then you're getting into slander, defamation, things like that, because he can't. But what is happening from this, and what's important to know, is as a result of Jonathan Turley writing this story, I don't know if he'll be a Republican witness, but who do you think that we're having a congressional hearing about this? Like, that is what's happening because of this. The House GOP clown show is going to have a congressional hearing about this, which
gonna be really good. Jason, welcome.
How are you guys doing?
Good, man. How are you?
Doing pretty good.
How are you guys doing? Good, man. How are you?
You got an echo there.
How are you guys doing? Good, man. How are you?
Jason, can you drop it and I'll bring you back up? Thanks. Just pop back up. Probably got a phone call there. I already like him better than the last one. Already. There we go. Oops. I want to let me accept. It's weird. There we go. Jason. Sorry about that.
Hello.
Hey, what's up?
Not much. I just wanted to say about the other two people that came up.
Yeah.
I looked up everything you guys were talking about on my laptop, and I didn't see anything that you guys said that was a lie. And I'm a conservative Republican.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah. We can disagree on what data means, but we shouldn't have to disagree on the data. I like that.
And when I debate about something, I don't like to call people names. I don't like to, because you're not, at that point, you're not debating.
I agree. Is there something you'd like to talk about today? First of all, thank you for coming up and saying that. I appreciate it. MAGA folks, when you're on the opposition, it's not easy to come up and agree with the host. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, I was going to ask if you guys want to talk about the Trump civil fraud lawsuit or whatever.
Yeah, let's do it.
So what I feel on it, I feel like the judge, maybe Trump had some errors in the way he was doing it, but I feel like the judge broke a constitutional amendment in the Eighth Amendment, which states you can't give an excessive fine.
Okay. Yeah, I think that would probably be something that the Supreme Court's going to look at to decide if it's excessive. The fine that he gave is based on a formula, and that formula is basically any money that you've made from the fraud that you committed, you have to return. And so they took the amount of money that he's made based on from the start of that fraud until now, and that's where they got that number. So I don't know. I think the Supreme Court would probably have to rule that law or that equation unconstitutional. I'm not sure that it is. I'd probably need a better argument to be convinced that that's. I mean, if I were to commit fraud and I make $500 from that fraud, is it fair for the government to take all that $500 from me? Or should they let me keep some of it?
I think it's fair that they take it from you if you did something wrong.
Yeah, so that's what they're saying here is that Trump, because he was, the fraud that he committed was putting out fake financial disclosures, right? And saying that his net worth was more than it was and his assets were worth more than they were. And he did that in order to get favorable terms. So since that act itself is illegal, any gains he made post that point would have to be returned, right?
I don't know if it was as high as that, as high as the amount of money that the judge threw out. So I'd have to look that up before I say. Because I don't like to.
Fair, I don't know either. It's based on, like I said, that equation.
It's based on what he took, right? He engorged himself, like he illegally made money based off of fraud, and all he's doing is return. They're asking for the money back. Like it's all. The math is mathin'. It's in the decision. You can read how they came up with that number. Like the Eighth Amendment is about arbitrary fines, like damages, like saying me because my reputation is damaged, then saying some crazy or inordinate amount that my reputation is worth. That's why when there's defamation claims, you have to prove loss of wages usually to show this is what I'm worth. This is what my reputation was worth in my industry. Now I'm like losing the ability to make X amount of dollars, and you have to show that it's proportional. But no, this is just saying, hey, over the years, based on the fraud that we know he committed, here's the money that he engorged himself with, and now that's what disgorgement is. When you see the ruling, they say blank $100 million, for disgorgement. It means you engorged yourself with all of this money through a fraud. Now we're disgorging you. We're taking it back.
Yeah, I get that. I get that he should pay back. And I mean, because I believe nobody's above the law or whatever. Nobody's above. So even though I am a conservative and I would vote for Donald Trump again, if he was the only candidate.
Knowing now that like he'll lie and he'll commit crimes and he doesn't care, like why would you vote for that person again?
Well,
it seems like we should have like a baseline of what we'll accept for politicians. And I guess that's my question to most like, I can't stand Nikki Haley's policies, but if you're going to tell me that you think Nikki Haley is a good person and that she's doing her best adhere to her beliefs and to the Constitution, I would agree with that. But with Trump, it's hard. That's the difficult part with Trump. It's like this guy is now 3 civil lawsuits, so we know he's breaking the law. Sometimes I feel like conservatives don't think that like civil lawsuits mean you broke the law. It just means you're not going to go to prison. You're going to pay a fine, right? Still breaking the law. Like this is a serial criminal. Why would we put this guy in office? How could we trust somebody with our money who does what he does with his money?
I'm just trying to say on it, the fact is I'm not going to vote for Joe Biden because I don't feel like he doesn't fit the value. He's probably a nice human being, but I don't agree with his policies. And
what policies don't you like of Joe Biden when you say that like it doesn't fit for you?
Well, it's not really the policy. It's based off what he said. Based off when he first came into office, he took away Title 42. He took away Remain in Mexico. He took away, and then it caused the border to become in crisis like it is right now.
A federal judge took Remain in Mexico away. A Republican federal judge.
Title 42.
Look here. Let me say this one, Jay. Yeah, Title 42. A Republican judge took it away, and many things. The problem is with executive orders. Like this is what it is. The lie that Trump tells is, you don't need new law. We don't need new immigration law because Trump wants that to be the thing he runs on. But what happens when you do executive orders is anyone can then file a federal lawsuit against you, and then it goes through the courts and is adjudicated. And what we see from Biden, well, first Trump ran up against it too, right? Because of the pandemic, sure, okay, like he was allowed to do a lot of that stuff goes against immigration law. Like for instance, in 2023, it was ruled by a federal judge that people can be released into the interior of the United States. Something that simple, right? Like goes against Remain in Mexico. So that's why we have to change federal immigration law, because every time we do executive orders, lawsuits wind their way through the courts and then they're struck down.
Well, I just looked it up and it says Biden administration ends Title 42. On Thursday of May 14th, 2023, the Biden administration lifted Title 42, a pandemic era policy that shut down virtually all.
And it took a long time, right? Because the Supreme Court kept it going. And then finally, yes, Title 42 did end in May 2023.
That's because, again, like in order to have Title 42 in existence, you had to rely on the public health emergency. Right, that's how Trump was able to get authorization for that. So as the public health emergency, like you can't really claim public health emergency while the country is also open, right? People are going back to work, people are going to school, we have a vaccine, the restrictions on places you can go are lifted. So it's hard to, like, Title 42 can only exist under a public health emergency. So it had to go away, right? But I think it was set to expire in May of that year. So I think he ended it, what, 2 years, 2 months early, or started the process of ending it 2 months early? Or is that not even, when's this date?
Yeah, the Supreme Court kept it going. But yeah, you're right. Like the point that it goes to the point I'm making though. Executive orders are for emergencies, right? And the pandemic was an emergency. And the reason it's unlawful is because there's not a pandemic anymore. So actually, that's the problem.
Let me correct that real quick. He ended it. The article you're reading is from May 14th. Title 42 expired May 11th. So I would say that's probably a misleading headline to say that Biden administration ends Title 42. It was expiring on May 11th. Sorry, Jason, you're muted, Jason. I don't know if you know that.
Yeah, I was.
Okay.
You're muted, Jason. I don't know if you know that. Okay.
Can I drop?
Yeah.
I think
Yeah, no problem.
But yeah, I think that what he's saying, like Biden did try to stop Title 42, I think earlier, and the Supreme Court said no. But yeah, this is all, it all still goes that what we've learned is that The only way to change federal immigration law is to change federal immigration law long term. And right now our federal immigration law give the president broad powers, right? And that, but not enough, right? Not enough to have people stop in another country before they seek asylum here. Not enough to be able to use Title 42 outside of a health emergency. That's why laws have to change.
And I agree with that. I do think, and I'm not like totally against immigration. I'm not like, I do believe that it takes a long time to get into the country.
Yeah, I agree with you too, though, just so you know, Jason. I think federal immigration law needs to change as well. Like that, and that's what the immigration bill, the bipartisan one that the Senate Republicans negotiated with the Democrats, it changes the federal immigration law because we have a crisis at the southern border. Not to say I support definitely support legal immigration and a pathway to citizenship, but as long we have a crisis at the southern border due to mass migration that has to be addressed through changing of immigration law.
Yeah, so that's the first thing. You said you wouldn't vote for him because of that. I think we all now are a little more clear on that. It's not what he did. He didn't cause this crisis at the border, and Title 42 was ending anyways. He didn't end it. So what other things does Joe Biden do that make you say like? Because again, I think you and I could probably at least agree that Joe Biden's criminal history is nothing compared to Donald Trump's. So there's got to be good reasons to vote for Donald Trump. I get that, but so far, like on immigration, Biden seems to do a better job on immigration than Trump. If you look at the based on like conservative values, if you look at how many, like what percentage of people are sent back that come here, like Biden sends back obviously a greater number of people, but also a higher percentage. Biden is offered and is said he will sign the most comprehensive border bill that our country has ever seen. Republicans are standing against that. Donald Trump says, no, let's not sign that bill. At this point, like it seems silly to me that Republicans would even say that Donald Trump is tougher on the border than Joe Biden. Joe Biden's clearly tougher than Donald Trump on the border.
I believe what you said, yes. Trump probably has committed more crimes than Joe Biden has. I will say that. But at the end of the day, the only reason why I would vote for Donald Trump is because I feel like he's more fit to run the country than Joe Biden is.
What makes him more fit?
The fact that Trump can walk a lot and not stumble and fall.
President a walking contest or?
Well, what I mean is like we see Biden get on stage in a military academy or whatever thing, and then he falls.
Do you think it's possible that, and I mean this respectfully, that you're kind of like grasping at things right now? Like I vote for the president based on what I think he can do for the country. And I just think that for people that say like Donald Trump and Joe Biden, like there's a fitness difference there, I really have to question that. Like, does Joe Biden shuffle his feet when he walks? Absolutely. In Mitt Romney's book, Mitt Romney actually on one of their conversations like, hey, like don't shuffle your feet. And Joe Biden called him back later and he's like, hey, I made sure not to shuffle my feet. And my wife asked me later, like, hey, you must be feeling good. Like you're walking a little differently today. So I see what you're saying. Like, yeah, he walks like that. But does that matter to our country? Like, let's say that I agree with you. And I think there's plenty of times I've seen Donald Trump stumble too. But let's just say I agree that Donald Trump's better at walking than Joe Biden. Is that a reason like you've said Donald Trump's a criminal, but Joe Biden doesn't walk well?
The only reason why I would say it would matter is because he's the president of the country. So he's supposed to be looking good in front of the country because he's representing all these other countries.
Yeah, no, I see what you're saying, but I'm saying that would be the determining factor for you.
But I also
that's like saying because Greg Abbott is in a wheelchair, he can't be governor. Do you understand how dangerous that is to say things like that?
No, I don't, because I see it as Joe Biden is going down a road where I honestly, and I'm going to tell you guys this right now about both Donald Trump and Joe Biden. I think they're both too old to be in office.
That's fine, but what are the consequences? Like, what Joe Biden's been old since the day he got in office, and if Donald Trump were to win, Donald Trump would then become the oldest person ever to take office. Like, what were the consequences? Like, Joe Biden's old, but what happened to our country that makes you say, like, I can't vote for him again, but I'll vote for a guy 2 years younger? Again, Donald Trump's the criminal. We're talking about just walking. I'm looking at our country. I'm looking at the way that we bounced back after COVID. We did better than any other country in the world. In what other scenario are you the best in the world and lose your job?
I don't know.
Only politics, right? The thing that I feel with a lot of conservatives is that you guys, that you don't like Joe Biden. And you are pretty honest with yourself. You know that you don't really like Donald Trump, but you're like, okay, I want conservative over liberal. But like, Joe Biden is not progressive. He's not a liberal. He's run as a moderate. This administration has been wildly moderate. I mean, they just passed the most comprehensive, or they're trying to pass the most comprehensive immigration bill in the history of our country. It's hard to say that's like historically a liberal or historically a progressive position. And again, if you think the border is a crisis, I'm confused why you want to vote for the person who wants to do nothing about it. Literally nothing. I want to do nothing about it. And do you know what his plan is for the border?
Probably to put back up his policies that he put in place when he was president.
No, what he wants to do, he went over this weekend. What they want to do is can you just mute for a second?
Recording us? He's recording us. That's why it's doing that.
Or he's getting a phone call. One of the two.
No, like 3 times.
That's a good point.
Like, he's recording us. You could just stop recording us.
Yeah, I'll send you. We post all this stuff on YouTube. You can go screen record our YouTube after. You'll be on there. If you want clips for your own stuff, that's fine. You're welcome to do that. I'll even send you the clips. I'll get them for you.
Listen,
is that what's going on? Are you recording?
I am not recording you guys. I have Snapchat notifications that come across. I have alarms that come across.
I apologize. Hey, I appreciate you've been nothing but kind to us. I wasn't trying to be combative. I was just saying if you were, then like what Jay was saying, like we post the replay. So if you want to clip this, like you can from there. But yeah, I was not trying to be combative to you in any way. I appreciate.
I have no reason to record you guys.
Yeah, and I appreciate. Well, I'm saying I thought we were saying if you wanted the clips to post like for your own, but. Yeah, thank you for being respectful, and I wasn't trying to offend you.
No, you're fine.
Yeah.
I just wanted to clear that.
Okay. So I guess that's my question. Like, what are the issues that matter to you the most?
I would say right now is the border.
Okay, so can we agree that Joe Biden is trying to do something about the border more than Donald Trump?
I'm going to agree with this fact that he might be now. And that's only because it's an election year.
Right, but that means he wouldn't do anything till January, right? That means like that's 10 months of nothing that we're going to do about the border, right?
I'm just saying he knows he screwed up. He knows Americans are going to look at the border as an issue. So now he's trying to fix it, which in a way is why would the Republicans try to bail out Joe Biden?
Because, that's the problem. See, this is my concern with Republicans. They're trying to fix a problem, a real problem that our country has. And Republicans are saying like, oh, well, this is just to bail out Joe Biden. Even if it is just to bail out Joe Biden, why would you advocate that we harm our country? Like, do you understand how from our perspective, we're like, you guys don't care about our country. You care about winning. You care so little about our country that your number one issue you're going to do nothing about because you're afraid that you won't get power again.
I'm just saying, if I was in political office like the Congress, I would have voted for that bill. I'm just
agreed.
saying, as a generalization of the Republicans, they're not going to bail out. This isn't me. They're not going to bail out Joe Biden.
Okay, so then why vote for them? Why vote for them when they're showing time and time again that they will put their own power and their own elections over what's best for our country? How can that override your the vote for you? How can you not look at people who are clearly just saying, we will do whatever we can to gain power. We don't care about the country. I don't understand supporting that.
Well, and this is why I'm going to tell you I support the Project 25. Because it's a hard reset of the government. It's going to get rid of everybody.
Well,
and it's just going to be a new...
Well, when you reset, you go back to like a previous form, right?
Not necessarily. You could go to...
Well, that's what a reset is. When you go back to previous form, that's what reset means.
I'm just saying.
What I'm going to point out to you is this is not a reset. It's a change. They want to fundamentally change our government. They want to fundamentally change the Constitution. And I watched a quote from one of the people who wrote up Project 2025 saying this weekend, we're not even telling you everything that's in Project 2025. Some of this stuff's a secret. We're never even going to tell the American people. And again, Project 2025 gives massive control to the president. The guy that we know is a criminal. We've just agreed that he's a criminal. You're saying that like Project 2025, which gives that same criminal way more power than he had before. You think that's a good idea? To give Donald Trump more power?
Well, I think it's kind of weird that we're saying Donald Trump's the president because Joe Biden's the president.
No, I'm saying that Project 2025 only works if Donald Trump is president or if a Republican wins. That's why it's 2025. It wouldn't go into place until 2025 when, according to their plan, Donald Trump would be president.
I mean, it would... I believe, and this is what I'm going to strongly say, the Congress is screwed up right now because of Republicans and Democrats, not just Democrats.
Okay, but let's go back. I need you to explain to me why you're okay with a party and a president who are doing nothing to solve your number one issue. And you're like, but I support Project 2025, which will fundamentally change our balance of powers. Like our government was set up with checks and balances. You had the judicial, the legislative, and the executive. And they had essentially equal power to check each other. Project 2025 eliminates specifically Congress and the Supreme Court's ability to put a check on certain presidential powers. It takes that out of their hands. Do you think that that's a good idea to give one person more control than the legislative or the judicial branch with no checks?
I mean, I don't agree with that because it would be a dictatorship.
Okay, well, that's what Project 2025 is advocating for. Project 2025 says the president gets new control. The president will use executive orders. Part of it is declaring, not martial law, on day one, using the Insurrection Act to basically deploy the military, not only to our border, but to anywhere where people might be, let's just say, protesting Donald Trump taking office again. Part of that plan is on day one, they invoke the Insurrection Act.
Which
That's
means to
ideal.
turn the U.S. military on American citizens, which is very unconstitutional at this point.
Yeah, that was used for the Civil War, right? That was used for the South seceding and starting an insurrection against our government. Do you think we're anywhere near what was happening on the Civil War?
No.
So advocating for Project 2025.
I take that back. I think we are close to a civil war.
Why?
And the only reason why I think we're close to a civil war is because of the fact that Republicans and Democrats can't work together to negotiate something.
We did. We negotiated, but we did.
Other.
We just negotiated the most comprehensive border bill ever. It was negotiated between one of the most conservative people in the Senate and one of the most liberal, and then somebody in the middle. We just did this, and everybody agreed that this was going to work. And then Donald Trump stepped in and said no. Donald Trump is the one that keeps stepping in and getting in the way of democracy. We had this. It was coming down the pipe. Republican senators were saying, this is the best border bill we've ever seen. We will never get a better deal than this. Donald Trump will not get a better deal than this. Like, that's a direct quote from Lindsey Graham, who is nothing if he's not a Trump sycophant. And he said Donald Trump won't get a better deal than this.
Well, so, Donald Trump.
Well, but you understand, Trump is the reason that our Congress can't do anything, right?
Donald Trump can't shut down a bill.
Yes, he can. Yes, he can.
Donald Trump is not in the House. Donald Trump is not in Congress. Donald Trump is not the president. He can't shut down a bill.
No, let me explain how he did it then, and you can tell me whether or not he can or can't do this. Donald Trump largely controls most of the donations that come into the Republican Party. His PAC gets way more money than the RNC, and he occasionally gives money from that PAC. His endorsement also matters inside the party. Being endorsed by Donald Trump inside the party, bring him back up if he comes back up, inside of the party, an endorsement from Trump is massive. Outside the party, it doesn't matter so much. So he holds that leverage over them. He said, you're not going to get fundraising. I will primary you, and I will attack you in the press. Like, if you are a Republican and MAGA turns against you, if Donald Trump turns the people against you, your political career is over. And Jason, if you're coming back or if you're listening, like, that's what he did. The House Republicans were going to vote on this. Some of them immediately changed their tune after he said it. They were going to look at this bill. They agreed, but Trump said no.
And specifically, who negotiated? Lankford was specifically chosen. He's a Republican senator who Trump endorsed and said specifically in the endorsement, he was tough on the border.
Well, I'm just saying, the Republican Congress, House, whatever, they are not Donald Trump. So yes, but Donald Trump can make all.
But they said that they were they. But Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House, said that he's getting his direction from Trump. So the guy that's leading the Republicans in the House is admitting, like, yeah, I'm not doing this because Trump doesn't want it.
Anyone that goes against them in the House, the moderate Republicans experience this. If they vote for something or go against them, then they try to primary them. They put their names on far right media and blast that they're punished for speaking out. That's what's happening.
I would argue, Jason, that if this was Biden, like if Biden was going to the Congress or the Senate and he was so popular within his own party, which he's not, so this is a crazy hypothesis. This wouldn't happen because he's not popular enough. But let's just say Biden was so popular and this was reversed. He was running for president and he started shutting down legislation for the border, just saying like, no, we're not going to touch the border until I'm in office. Don't you think you would have a completely different response? If Joe Biden was the one saying, we're not going to do anything about the border until I'm in office, don't you think your response would be completely different?
I don't know how my response could be completely different when I already said that I agree with the immigration bill against Donald Trump. So
Okay, you're right. You did say that. Yeah. So then again, why would you vote for somebody who is openly saying, I will not do what's best for the country. I will do what's best for me. And keep in mind that this same person who right now is saying, I won't do what's best for the country, I'll do what's best for me, also owes $500 million. And that number is going to keep going up. Do you think that person would choose to, let's say, take foreign money? Or do you think he would do what's best for the country?
I think he would do what's best for the country.
Why? We won't do what's best for the country now.
Why? Because we need a president who's going to do the best for our country, not.
Yeah, but he's not. He's not. He's choosing to do the opposite of what's best for the country because it doesn't benefit him personally. Right? So why do you think that Donald Trump wouldn't go in and take, let's say, $500 million from the Saudis or from the Russians to pay off his debts? And say like, yeah, I owe you guys one. I'll feed you some secrets, or like I'll limit the sanctions, or like I'll stop you from invading Ukraine, or maybe we'll only buy Saudi oil. What's to stop? Why would you think Donald Trump wouldn't sell us out for what's best for him when right now he's selling out the American people for what's best for him?
See, I would say this. Yes, I did say I would vote for Donald Trump. Honestly, in this 2024 election, I'm probably not going to vote.
That's fair. Let me just ask you this. Unemployment, all-time lows right now. Or near all-time lows. I think it ticked back up, but near all-time lows. Our stock market, all-time highs. Inflation, ever since Joe Biden took office, it's been dropping. Crime, the last year and a half, dropping. The border, he's obviously trying to do something about that. We've seen massive investments into infrastructure and the CHIPS Act, bringing jobs back to America. Not shitty jobs where you're working in like a steel mill where you're getting beat up. Like real manufacturing jobs with union protections that are high-paying jobs for things that we desperately need in microchips. And it positions us as a world power to export those things. Joe Biden, it appears, has put Americans first every step of the way. Our country has gotten better since he took office. January 2021, we're coming out of COVID. We have massive inflation. We have massive unemployment, and we have our infrastructure. Like, remember when he first took over, we had like trains derailing all over the country. Like, he has done a great job. For you, like things have gotten better for you. And I got to tell you, somebody who was a Republican probably right around your age and then much longer than I should have been, like the earlier you start to recognize that like it's not about Republican or Democrat, that it's about what people are actually doing, probably the better. But the Republicans are doing nothing. This Republican Congress, the worst in the history of our country. They got the least done. And that would be cool if they got the least amount done, and that meant spending dropped, or like we were able to pay off debt, or things were so good that they did nothing and it stayed the same and they didn't fuck it up. But instead, like they have stood in the way. They stand in the way of the CHIPS Act. They've done nothing but try and impeach people. I mean, Joe Biden's had more impeachment attempts than Donald Trump did, without a single crime, without anything that even looks like a crime. If you are conservative, if you care about the border, if you care about taxes, if you care about the money that you're bringing in, if you care about one day having a family and supporting them, this version of the Republican Party is doing nothing for you. And in fact, they are making it harder and harder for you to be successful. You don't have to vote Democrat your whole life, but it makes absolutely no sense right now at this juncture to vote for Donald Trump. Despite the limit, whatever limits you think Joe Biden has, whether it's his age, how he walks, maybe you don't like his policies, whatever, he's still trying to help our country. Donald Trump is out.
That's why I said I wasn't going to vote in the 2024 election, is because it is Donald Trump and Joe Biden.
I hear you.
I would vote if it was younger people.
So is that the main thing then, his age? So you can look at his record, you can say his record's pretty good, but you want someone younger. Okay, so what if Gavin Newsom took his place and it was Gavin Newsom versus Donald Trump? Would you vote for Gavin Newsom?
I wouldn't vote Newsom because I don't.
What Democrat would you vote for?
What Democrat would I vote for? I'd vote for RFK Jr.
It's not a Democrat.
He was a Democrat, but then switched independent.
Yeah, when he turned into a conservative. But like, what Democrat would you vote for?
What Democrat? Manchin.
Okay.
Sinema.
Don't you feel like Joe Biden and Joe Manchin are pretty similar?
No.
Why not?
Because I have a strong belief about who is president right now.
I know, but I'm just asking why you think they're similar. I know, but why do you...
Joe Biden. Oh. Joe Biden might be moderate, but Joe Biden is not the president.
Okay, so is this saying like Obama is
it's
running
an
things behind the
inside
scene?
job. Just Biden's the puppet running the country.
Okay, well, if it's working, what's wrong with it then? Let's just say you're right. Let's just say that it's his. Let's just say that it's his administration. Aren't they doing a good job?
I disagree that they're doing a good job.
Why? What do you think is going so wrong?
That's because here in the state of Maine, And I am going to bring up grocery prices and stuff.
Get a little care. It was Susan Collins. I don't know if you should be talking about age there in Maine, but that's fine. Keep going. I'm just kidding. I was just kidding. Keep going. I know you probably don't like Susan Collins.
I don't either, so.
I know. Yeah, you're fine. I was just making a joke. What's going on in Maine?
Thinking this whole time you have a Canadian accent, so thank you for saying Maine. Because this whole time I was like, how is he going to vote in America, but he's Canadian?
No, I've gone to Canada a lot, but I'm from Maine, and I think the gas prices, I'm not going to go on that because, one, a president does not control gas prices. So I can't say Joe Biden.
You made my heart so warm to hear a Republican
So I
say
can't say that Joe Biden has done that because he can't. President does not control.
Yeah, and also you'd have to admit that like gas prices just have steadily dropped during his presidency for the last like year and a half. So yeah, but I agree with you. That's a good take. I agree with you.
Because I was paying for gas probably a year and a half ago, $4.34 a gallon. Now it's dropped to $2.89.
Yeah.
So I would agree that it's dropped, but that's also not a president. But the thing is, the reason why, and the whole gas prices thing I don't understand, is the fact that the gas prices only were so low under Donald Trump was because of the COVID pandemic.
It was.
Nobody was out driving around because everyone was shut down in their houses.
What do you think about Donald Trump negotiating essentially with OPEC to artificially keep prices high?
I mean, I think that's wrong.
Yeah. So again, there's a president not doing what's best for the American people. You got to be kidding me.
I just got flagged for misinformation.
Just drop down and come back up. Yeah, I see it. Stupid.
Probably his own Republicans flagging him for knowing things, for knowing that no president controls gas prices.
They got, they didn't like that. Jason's feeling the wrath of the, now you know what it's like to get the wrath of MAGA a little bit, Jason. Welcome to the party.
Jeez, I can't win on my own live. Like for being a Republican, and then I come in and speak something on the left. I get me.
Yeah, that's right. It's a no-win situation for you. Keep going though.
But I think the grocery prices, that's a little different because you can't say in the pandemic, because we were shut down in the houses, the grocery prices were low because everybody was still getting groceries.
Well, grocery prices went up due to supply chain, right? And there's cost in reopening the supply chain. There's cost again, supply and demand. If there's certain supply chains that are affected and the supply goes down, then the demand is still there, the cost goes up. But I mean, we are a globalist country. We get stuff from all over the globe. And so when supply chains are shut down like they were during COVID, of course, like that's going to go back up. But one thing we learned really that was really transparent coming out of COVID is that corporations don't give a shit. Like corporations were going in, and despite the fact that they had fixed their supply chains, they continued to charge those exorbitant prices because they could. Like the number one contributor to inflation was corporations price gouging. It was something like 40% of our total inflation can be tracked back to them. They're the number one single contributor to inflation.
And I wouldn't say I'm going to disagree with you on that because I do agree that corporations are the issue.
Yeah, but again, Donald Trump just wants to get those people a tax cut. Joe Biden's not very good on corporations. I think that he needs to be harder on corporations, but at least he'll at least be a little more honest about it. He's not just going to cut their taxes. So again, it's everything you say sounds like you're more in line with Biden than Trump. And I know you said you're not going to vote, but let's just say it's a Democrat. Let's just say it's Joe Biden, but he's 25 years younger, but the same guy. Would you vote for Joe Biden if he's 25 years younger with this exact record?
Yeah.
All right. I think that's fair. I just need you to know that's most Democrats. I think that oftentimes we get painted on the left that we're far less moderate than we are, and that's probably because of people like myself and Felice who aren't that moderate, and most of the people who have like talk shows or who are on YouTube or on media, like they're not as moderate as the regular Democrats. But Joe Biden won the Democrat primary that he entered late. Like they had already done Iowa, I think, when he entered the race, and he came in and he won because there's more. Most Democrats, like the highest percentage of Democrats, are just you, dude. Like they believe all the same stuff that you do. They have all the same worries that you do. And those are the people that got Joe Biden elected.
Well, let me ask a question, because I wanted to clarify this for a while. Because you mentioned like your support for Project 2025, but when you talked about that, it sounded like, Jason, you were saying like the cleaning house, the firing of the civil service, of what would be considered the deep state or whatever. But like Project 2025 is very much about culture wars, right? Like for instance, me being pansexual, like essentially they don't want the LG, whatever, you know what I'm saying? The gays and lesbians to be able to have children, right? They don't think that that anyone except for a male-female union should be able to bear or raise children in that household like that. That's part of Project 2025. It's also about limiting women's rights to make decisions for our health care, to be able to access contraception. So I guess my question to you is like, what is your thought about the like the way it limits rights for minority groups and people with uteruses?
I mean, I didn't look at it that it was giving the president more power, but the way the LGBTQ plus thing, that I don't really care about. You can be trans, you can be whatever you want to be. And I disagree.
You sound like a Democrat, like a moderate Democrat.
I disagree with the Republicans on trying to create laws against the LGBTQ. But I will say,
because that's the problem with the right, is like, if you're right, if people on the right, if they're right, I lose my rights, right? Like on the left, everyone gets to keep their rights. Right? No one loses any rights. If the left is right, we all just have equity and equality.
The only two things I will say on it that I disagree with is a biological man competing in a female sport and a biological man going into a female restroom. Those are the only two things that I disagree with on the LGBTQ plus side.
So what if Felice mentioned this earlier, and it's tricky. Like sports is tricky. Like we're gonna have to come up with a different solution other than just like how you identify to make if we're worried about making sports fair. There may be different ways to go about that. So I can agree with you that there are problems that we need to fix there. As far as the bathroom goes, I'd ask you like why. Two questions. It's a two-part question. One, why does it bother you? Oh. All right, he got removed. Why?
They want us to have guests, so they'll just report our guests. I don't know. It's possible.
That one I didn't get to choose. He probably caught a ban. I would just say this, like for any Republicans that are here. Yeah, appeal that. If do the appeal, Jason. I see that. If you win the appeal, you're welcome to come back. I would just say that there's nothing stopping that from if you're really worried about a biological man going into a woman's bathroom, there's nothing stopping that now. Like, have you been to Target? Have you been to Walmart? Like, there's no guard. Like, if I could walk in there by myself as I am, and it might raise eyebrows, but if I wanted to just like not cause or bring attention to myself, I could just throw on a wig, maybe put on a dress, shave down. Nobody's gonna say anything to me. Like, that already exists. That's not a real problem. That loophole that they think, it already exists. But what, Jason, I just want you to hear this. The reason that people get upset when you bring that up is what it does is it presents all trans people as predators. And I think that we have to be really, really careful with that. Like, predators are a problem. We should do what we can to stop predators. Anything and everything we can to stop predators, we should do. But if your argument against trans people using the restroom is based on predators, and we already acknowledge that they're like that loophole already exists, a trans person or a non-trans person both can put on a dress and a wig and go into a different bathroom. Like, that's not an issue. That issue already exists. So we got to stop ascribing that to trans people.
Yeah, and exactly. And or if it is about you're worried about people being victimized, then the argument would be, okay, let's not have, let's say, convicted S offenders in bathrooms. But that's not what we're hearing, right? Because the goal is to dehumanize the trans community and paint them as if they are doing something fundamentally wrong, which they are not. But I do agree, if your mission is to care about people being victimized in bathrooms, then think about how to actually argue that issue, because dehumanizing the trans community has nothing to do with that issue. And again, just as a full scholarship Division I athlete, a woman, like, it's not about fairness in sports, right? Like, such a small, this is not even affecting largely women's sports, but the International Olympic Committee is already solving these issues that we're talking about with women's sports. The International Olympic Committee, there's a series of tests, right? It has to do with bone density, it has to do with hormone panels to determine which athletes, whether assigned female at birth or assigned male at birth, like, can compete in a category together. Like, that's the future of sports. Gender is just a construct that no longer is going to apply to professional sports. So, like, if the conversation is genuine, the answer is that sports will no longer in the future be specifically male female. It'll be like, you need to fit into these categories, you need to pass these tests, and then this group of people who've been determined to fit in the same range of testing will compete against each other. That's the future, having nothing to do with the failed construct that is now gender, right? So if you were generally confused about those things, there are the answers, but nobody is confused. It's just a hot button. Oh, we want to protect women's sports. When men will not equally fund women's sports, they have made no moves to protect women's sports. So I don't want to hear now we're protecting women's sports. You have disrespected women's athletes at every turn. You've underfunded our sports. Please, no more Republican men. I want to protect women. You have gone out of your way to not protect women at every end. So I'm so tired of we want to protect women in sports and women in the bathroom. Since when?
It's not, that's not a real thing. Like, the friends of mine that talk about that, I can tell you that before this was like a hot button issue, they sat around and mocked women's sports and wanted to abolish women's sports. The same group of friends that were upset that the United States women's team, soccer team, wanted more money, despite the fact that they draw bigger crowds, they win more games, they generate more revenue. They just wanted to be paid equally to the men, which was crazy because they should have gotten paid more when you're talking about actual United States revenue. These same exact people now suddenly care about women's sports. The same people that mocked the WNBA for decades and say, oh, well, the NBA subsidizes the WNBA. They don't make any real money. Like, those same people, they do not care. They're not watching women's sports. They're not going to women's sporting events.
It's the same people that were like, why did we get Brittany Griner out of Russia? Do you know why Brittany Griner was in Russia? Of course not, because we won't pay female athletes in this country. So in the off season, rather than what male athletes do in this country, which is rest, she has to go to Russia where they pay female athletes and supplement her income. That's why she's over there. Not because she wants to leave her wife behind and go live in a authoritarian dictatorship that denies her right as a lesbian to exist freely. Right? Yeah, that's not what it was. She's supplementing her income so she can survive. That's why she was there. You don't care about women's female sports. You never have. Like, please don't start now. We're okay.
And again, like, the poster child is whatever that swimmer's name is. I always forget her name. The one that's like on at sea.
Riley Gaines.
Yeah, thank you. I should remember that. what was the remember?
But
when
again,
Garth Brooks
swimming
put
is
out
an
that-
example of a sport that's being covered by the International Olympic Committee. You want to know how it's going to go? There's a series of tests that will be administered, medical tests to decide who gets grouped together and who can swim in the pool together. That's what will eventually happen.
And that one is so illustrative. You take a person who before they transitioned had much quicker times. They went through transition. They took hormones. I don't know if they what surgeries were done. I have no idea. But the times were slower. The bone density reduces. These are things I didn't know a year ago. Like, swear to God, I didn't know these things a year ago. And if I didn't know them, Republicans don't know them. But that stuff, like the all the arguments are reversible when you go through these treatments. Not only that, but like oftentimes they're painful. Oftentimes they include long periods of being on bed rest, right? And you're gonna atrophy there too. The IOC, like you said, is doing a great job, and they're doing what we should do. When we recognize that something isn't working, we should fix it. But what we shouldn't do is dehumanize people for just wanting to play a game. Whatever these, for some it's making a living, but for like 99.9% of trans people, they just want to play a game. They want to do something that they enjoy. They want to do the same thing that all of us who have played sports want to do. It brings us joy. It gives us exercise. It makes us feel good. Maybe we get to perform on a stage. Like all those things that make us feel good. You're saying you can't have that, and we will do nothing to fix it. You just can't have that. You have to fundamentally change who you are, or else you can't play sports. And that's the difference between the two arguments. There's the people that think there's like this agenda by the left. You said it beautifully. The left's agenda is making sure that there is equality and equity. That's it. So if that's an agenda to you that bothers you, I don't know what to tell you. If equality and equity bother you,
we were actually trying, like, imagine if we were actually trying to take rights from white men, right?
Yeah.
We're not. Here's the great news. You get to keep all of your rights. Like, right? I don't, as someone with a uterus or part of the LGBT, I don't. If you guys are right, I lose rights. But nobody loses any rights. If the left is right, everyone gets to keep them.
Yeah, and let's remember that these Project 2025 people, as bad as Project 2025 is, and as I mentioned before, like there are parts of Project 2025 they're not telling. Do you think they want gay people married? No. Do you think that they would prefer eliminating no-fault divorces? Absolutely. Marital rape? Gone. Like this is the most transparent example of our lifetime of the white Republican men recognizing that they've lost control over other people and desperately grabbing to get it back. That's all we're seeing here. And I think that Americans, if you could get rid of the polarity of the two-party system, if you could get rid of all the shit on the internet, like I think everybody actually probably agrees that people should just be allowed to do what they want with their bodies. I think everybody agrees that. It's only when you involve politics, and in this case religion, that you have people defending just the most outrageous policies. Watching Tuberville, you said you had that on Friday. Maybe we play that. But watching Tuberville blanketly say that this was a good decision in Alabama, and then in real time, somebody explaining to him what the decision is, and he's like, oh, I don't agree with that. And they're like, but you said you agree with it. He's like, yeah, well, it's a tough one. We'll have to do something about it. Like most Republicans are just along for the ride. They don't recognize what's happening. And I think that's why it's important to always bring up Project 2025 and these things, because like, where's it going to end? And at what point is it going to impact you? And at some point it will.
In the most extreme case, just as somebody who's read this part of Project 2025, right? Like the Republican far-right conservative think tanks, like hear people saying, right? Well, women don't need men anymore. We don't need to marry men to have children, right? We can get sperm from gay men. We can use IVF and we can have children. We can cut straight men out of the equation. And this is not an idea that they like, right? Both fundamentally, like I said, because Project 2025, it's not just about scientifically bearing a child, it's also about the raising of the child, right? So it's two things in Project 2025. They do not want, right, the bearing of the children by the LGBTQ, but also the raising. They believe it's against the Bible for a child to be raised in a same-sex household. So that's why they want to remove children from same-sex households as well.
Real quick, read some comments here, and then Puerto Rico Dragon and Louis Clyde. Can you just let Jen know if you're opposition? Let me read some comments here.
Meanwhile, he reads, let's get to 200K. It's already almost dude.
Come on, load. There we go. Miss Julie says, for Queen Felice's massage fund. Thank you, Miss Julie. Soli says, for making me so damn proud to be a liberal. Thank you both. Thank you, Soli. That's very kind. Jeremy says, for a box of wet wipes to clean up after potato farming. Thank you, Jeremy. Nathan says, will Felice please give her opinion on the double contact rule change in women's volleyball?
Oh, yeah. That's actually, I'm with it for sure.
Do you want to explain what that means while I go to the other app? Can you tell us what that
No, I'd
is?
rather focus. Can we talk about this another time, quite honestly?
Yes. Two more though. From Hull, to buy a very tiny herb grinder. That's an inside joke. Thank you, Hull. And from Amber, I'm 48 and I have balance issues. I fall often with angry face. I think that was in reference to when we were talking about Joe Biden's ability to walk.
Yeah, that's a whole. I would just challenge everyone to think about why you have been indoctrinated into ableism. That's a uniquely American thing, right? To value an athlete over, the way someone walks over whether or not they're a criminal. Like that, I challenge people to ask yourself why in this country you're so like being embarrassed about someone being old is more important to you than not electing a criminal. Like that's a very concerning thing.
Yeah, if you were a CEO of a company, or you were hiring a CEO of a company, you owned the company, you're hiring a CEO, would you rather hire somebody who can walk fairly good but is a criminal, or somebody who in your vision or in your version like doesn't walk that well? Like that's the dichotomy we're here. Like it's literally a criminal versus like a guy that walks his age.
Yeah, and like FDR, one of our best presidents, the New Deal president. This man had polio. He couldn't walk. They had a stand they would use to prop him up to look like he could stand. You know what I'm saying? But we're saying that all of his accomplishments, if he can't walk, are canceled out. And that is a scary thing that the patriarchy instills in us, that like how strong you are, physically strong, how much testosterone is running through your veins, how able-bodied you are. That's more important than the policy that you enact as a president that affects all of our lives. Like,
yeah, that's what's crazy. Indoctrination is the right way to put that. That's what's crazy. Is that I think people are just conditioned at this point politically to just defend the people on your side. And it used to be easier. It used to be easier to be partisan. Like, I don't envy the Trump supporters that like they have to support this guy. Like this is a real test of your loyalty and a real test of your ability to spin things.
Yeah.
Because every day this guy gives 3 pieces of ammunition to us that are insane, and you guys have to show up every day and figure out a way to defend him. That's what's crazy about Donald Trump.
Oh, and I want to answer the volleyball question because it was somebody who donated money. So I just thought about it and I should answer it. So while I'm doing this, tap the screen. Let's get to 200K. Here's what I want you to think about with sports. Sports needs to be palatable and watchable. It's the same reason there's no more side outs in volleyball. Like you used to in volleyball could only win a point on your serve. But what happened was a bunch of dead time, right? And no one was ever scoring. That's not interesting for sports that are put on TV. That's why they've changed it. So you score whether it's your serve or whether it's not your serve. And furthermore, the same thing with double contact. Anytime there's a double contact, including with the setter, the game was dead. like the play is over, that's not interesting. It does not support a sport being filmed for television when there's all this dead air. And the idea between double contacts now being allowed is that it keeps the game moving, right? The game is more palatable, more exciting, more interesting in general, I think overall, for people to watch. And that is why I suspect it's happening.
Well done. I don't know really anything about that. Well done. There we are. Exactly. Spectators are what makes sports. All right. What do we got? 12. We got an hour. What stories do we need to make sure we cover, Felice?
Hey, we made it to 200K finally. Okay, let's keep tapping the screen. I mean, hold on. Oopsies. Okay. Let's see. We talked about Catherine
We should
Harris.
probably talk about South Carolina.
Well, I was going to say, we can cover exit polls. There's a really good article I would suggest if you want to go over exit polls. It's a Washington Post article. It's called How Different Groups Voted in the South Carolina Primary According to Exit Polls, which is really interesting because like titles of articles now are just like in the Washington Post is just like, here's exactly like what is in here versus like salacious stuff. So yeah. And I think overall, like, we're going to go through this, but just more of the same is what we saw from South Carolina. So
what number, real quick, please? What number?
I'm not sure, but it's...
Sorry, I thought you had it up. I'll find it.
It's in the end, though, like, because it's reverse chronological order, so it's at the end of the articles list, because I know I put these in first. So about 6... Yeah, I had this up earlier, sorry. About 6 in 10 men and women supported Trump over Haley. Over 9 in 10 voters in the South Carolina primary were white. Okay, let me just say that again. About over 9 in 10 voters in the South Carolina Republican primary were white, and about 6 in 10 of them supported Trump. So 90%, just to give you an idea of people voting in the primary, 9 out of 10 were white, and of those, 6 of 10 supported Trump. Trump won a smaller majority of non-white Republican voters in the state. Majorities, let's see here. I want to go over most voters in South Carolina's Republican primary do not have 4-year college degrees. So remember, the Republican Party years ago, when it was considered like what you hear MAGA now calling the establishment, these were largely college educated voters. Since the party has descended into this culture war stuff and gotten away from the economic fiscal policy side, we have seen a large shift to people voting in primaries no longer have college degrees. And about 7 in 10 of those people voted for Trump. Haley did better among Republicans with 4-year degrees. Isn't that strange? With support from just over half of those voters.
We probably do need, just to add context, like South Carolina is an open primary state. So not everybody that voted is a registered Republican. Are these only polling Republicans, or is this just all exit polls?
No, yeah, these are just exit polls. So yeah, sorry,
Okay.
I did not say that. These are just exit polls. So Trump garnered more support among those with lower family incomes in the South Carolina Republican primary. He had the support of roughly 7 in 10 voters with incomes of less than $50,000, compared with about 6 in 10 of those with incomes between $50,000 and $99,000. And then Haley did best among Republican voters in the state with incomes of $100,000 or more, roughly splitting that group with Trump. So Trump was still getting 5 and 10, but that is the group that Haley did the best with, which makes a lot of sense. Like when you hear that the majority of Trump's voters don't have college degrees, so that kind of accounts for the lower income and also will account for the large, the exit. People are miserable, right, in this economy, and people's buying power is less. And and the smaller the buying power, the more miserable you are in the economy.
And the sad part, of course, watching that is just saying, like, recognizing that the policies that he's advocating for won't make their lives better. The continuation of this wealth gap is what Donald Trump is campaigning on. that part I wish we could get messaging across a little bit better.
Oh, yeah. And so this is a good question because of the open primary. So party self-identification. So about 7 in 10 South Carolina primary voters said they usually think of themselves as Republicans. So 70% are identifying as Republicans, down from 76 in 2016. So fewer people are claiming to be Republicans as they did in 2016, but 7 out of 10 are identifying as Republicans. Another about 2 in 10 identified as independents. So 2 in 10 are identifying as independents. And a majority of the independents, shocker, and this is what you're going to hear on left-leaning media, on like MSNBC. These are the stats they're talking about. The 2 in 10 that identified as independents, a majority of them supported Haley. Few self-identified Democrats participated at all in the state's open primary, or like, let's just say, not to say we know that maybe no Democrats did, but they're not identifying themselves as such.
This part was, to me, the most telling if you want to scale this out to a national level. So 68% of the total voters were Republicans. 22% of the total voters identified as independents. And out of those, like Felice said, 62% voted for Haley. Those are the numbers that Trump has to get better at. Like, Trump needs to be better among people who self-identify as independents. And it's been pretty steady that people identifying as independents don't go for Trump. In fact, they always go somewhere else, which right now is Haley. Those people, an independent who's voting for Trump or for Haley is much closer to Joe Biden than Donald Trump. The likelihood of those 62% voting for Donald Trump are very, very low.
Yeah, and it always, so that was well said. So let's just go to ideology.
Actually, to dispel one more thing, because you guys will hear this a lot today when people talk about, because Nikki Haley overperformed, and the Trump people need to change that narrative. Now, she overperformed because Trump said he was going to get like 80%, right? And like the Trump team was basically saying, and he didn't. But what you're going to hear is this is an open primary. These were all the Democrats. Just remember that that 68, so almost 70% of these voters were registered Republicans. So that it does not account for Nikki Haley's numbers, just Democrats alone. It does not account for that.
Well, self-identified.
Right. Yeah. So it was what percent were self-identified as Democrats?
Well, they don't even list it. It's like so few. Like, I don't think it matters. Like 7 in 10 claim to be Republicans, 2 in 10 claim to be independents, and a majority of them supported Haley. Few self-identified Democrats participated in the state's open primary. So, I mean, not enough to say. And 1 in 10 probably is my guess.
And Lindsey Graham, I think, was the last senator that was up for re-election in South Carolina. I'm trying to remember who he ran against. Much closer race.
Someone in the comments saying 4% registered Dems. I'll fact check against that. Go ahead, continue.
I don't remember who he ran against, but it was closer than I thought. I want to say it was like a 7 or an 8 point win for Lindsey Graham. Like, this is a state that also is shifting left, and they're losing the moderate vote to Democrats. Like, these aren't good numbers nationally. These give us a good indicator that Biden will do well, but even within the state of South Carolina, these are scary numbers for Trump. Like, South Carolina is a stronghold, and I'm not saying South Carolina will go blue, but like, they're trending blue, or they're at the very least trending not Trump.
But yeah, very, very much. And it's when I was listening to a ton of different, like CNN, I listened to CNN, I listened to Fox, like Jessica Tarlov. It's the same story. Like, this primary is mirroring what people said, the exit polls in Iowa and New Hampshire. Like, that is the concern. I mean, I'm not saying Nevada because that was just a giant show that we didn't learn anything from, but it's all the same problems, is that people are saying, I think it's like 40% of the people that vote are voting in like around, let's say, give or take, are saying, if Trump's convicted of a felony, I'm not voting for him. So that same problem, which is the same thing we're seeing with Haley, which is independents and then some moderate Republicans are saying, if Trump is a registered felon at the time of the election, I won't vote. And the other thing that's being pointed out constantly are the independents, right, and the moderates aren't going to move right. The majority of Nikki Haley's votes are signaling they're moving left. And that's what Trump's problem is. He has to pull some of those votes. It can't just be, his base is not enough to win a general election. And that's what Haley is always screaming. She's saying, like, if it's not me, you're handing the election, the general election, to the left.
Yeah, I thought that next one, the voter saying, would you favor or oppose a federal law banning most or all abortions nationwide? 77% of people who voted for Trump said yes, they would support a nationwide abortion ban, where in opposition, it's only 42%. I think this is telling because Donald Trump isn't running on an abortion ban. And in fact, if I had to guess, as president, I don't think Donald Trump would do anything about abortion. I think he would leave it in the hands of the courts. I don't think he wants any part of that. But to show, Haley got 58% of the vote of people who are against banning abortion. Remember, only a small percentage of these, 4 to 6%, are Democrats. Only 22% were independent. So these are Republican voters who are saying loudly, like, we are opposed to banning abortion. That's a problem nationwide, because in this scenario, even though I don't think Donald Trump would do anything about it, perception is reality for many of these voters. And if the perception is that Donald Trump is on the side that's going to ban abortion, he's not going to get that vote. This is a big issue all across the country, specifically in places where Trump needs to pick up votes that he didn't get in 2020. He needs female voters, he needs black voters, he needs independent voters. And those people, those groups of people, largely, almost universally, do not want an abortion ban.
Well, yeah, and also listen to like, just to give you an idea of who Trump's voters are and how extreme, and just understand, you can't just have an extreme base and win a general election. You have to pull people that aren't extremists into the fold. But we have, this is 6 in 10 South Carolina GOP primary voters denied the legitimacy of Biden's 2020 presidential election. According to exit polling in the state, they were overwhelmingly supported Trump in the primary. Over 1/3 of Republican primary voters said Biden was legitimately elected, and roughly 8 in 10 of this group supported Haley. Oh, Jason's back. I didn't even see him.
Welcome back, Jason.
Yeah, my appeal came
Sorry.
back.
Congratulations.
Sorry if we got you. I was sad we got you banned. Sorry, Jason.
You know who told me about you guys?
Who?
Kat.
I love Kat.
Love Kat too.
She goes, you got to go into RTP's live one time, and I was like, all right.
Yeah,
She's great.
Yeah, she's a wonderful person. We love Kat. I'm looking forward to Trump being gone so Kat can go back to being a Democrat. It'll be good. I don't remember what we were talking about when you got banned. Do you remember where we were at?
I don't remember either.
Okay. Were you listening to any of these numbers we were talking about?
Yeah.
Because I think that's important to finish. Like, if Donald Trump were to be convicted of a crime, would you consider him fit to be president, is the question. 6 in 10 voters in the South Carolina Republican primary would consider Trump fit to be president, even if he was convicted of a crime, and they overwhelmingly supported Trump. Among the more than 1/3 of voters who said he would not be fit for the presidency, almost 9 in 10 supported Haley. So just get it. The 33% they're talking about, 9 in 10 supported Haley. That 33% is not going to Trump. They're saying we won't support him if he's convicted. It will go to Biden. That's the vote you have to be concerned about in the Republican primaries. The people signaling, if he's a criminal, I'm not voting for him.
Jason, what do you take from that when you say that like 90% of these voters are willing to vote for a convicted felon?
I think that's... Wait, so it's 90%.
6 in 10. 6 in 10 voters in the South Carolina primary would consider Trump to be fit for president, even if he was convicted of a crime.
Sorry, yeah, of those voters, 90% of them voted for Trump. Sorry, yeah, 60%. Sorry.
I think that's way too high.
What do you think? What do you think the number should be?
I don't think they should be voting for a guy that's convicted of a felony in general.
So what do you think? It feels like bizarro land to me, because it's like we have a guy that's running the country moderately well who's not a convicted felon, and I can't convince people who recognize that Donald Trump likely will, I mean, at the very least he'll have civil judgments against him, but he's likely, if any of these trials goes through before the election, he's going to be convicted on those. Like, he's not going to win in Georgia, he's not going to win likely in DC. What does that say about like the state of the Republican Party and what they care about? Because that's my argument, is when we try and get a middle ground, when we try and talk about facts so that we can have political debate, the problem is I think there's so many people that are incentivized to just believe whatever Donald Trump says that we can't even live in reality with Donald Trump voters. It's impossible. And I think that maybe folks like yourself who are you lean more conservative, you hope that we'll have a more conservative country, but I would argue that we weren't more conservative under Donald Trump. Do you think we were more conservative under Trump than we are under Biden?
I wouldn't say we're more conservative. But also, I think the issue was in the election, I think we should have gotten off Trump. I think we should have just ditched him. I think we should have either hopped onto Vivek or Ron DeSantis. One of those two. And
what did you like about their campaigns? Like, because to me, when you said a lot of the stuff you said that you don't like or that you don't agree with the Republicans, like specifically, or I guess you did say you cared about the women's sports thing. I don't know if you hung around when we were gone there. To me, it seems like Vivek and Ron DeSantis, like their main talking points are attacking LGBTQ people. Are there things outside of that you really like about them?
Yeah, it's not about them attacking. They've got a backbone like Donald Trump, but they're not a criminal like Donald Trump.
Well, I mean, Vivek did run a pump and dump scheme. That's how he got his money. Vivek is, if Vivek was investigated, he'd likely be convicted.
I'm just saying, I think, and I also like the two because they're younger, like I said.
Yeah, but what did Ron DeSantis have a backbone about? Because I understand people say I don't think he has a backbone about everything. I think there's a lot of things he doesn't have a backbone about. But like the things that he had a backbone about were all social issues. It was all attacking the LGBTQ community, and outside of like the COVID stuff. Like I guess that's the only other instance I could see where maybe conservatives like how he handled COVID.
That's what I was just about to say. I like how he handled COVID, and he didn't handle it by shutting everybody down and telling them they can't.
Well, he did initially, right?
Initially, but then he changed it quicker than any other. Well, actually, no. South Dakota never shut down.
There's only 7 people in South Dakota, so that makes sense.
Kristi Noem there, she never shut down the. Which actually, I would vote for her too.
Okay.
If he ever,
does it bother you that although Ron DeSantis didn't shut things down, does it bother you that what he was quoted and the reason he chose not to shut things down wasn't based on science? And in fact, a lot of the stuff he was saying turned out to be scientifically just untrue.
Well, it was based off science.
No, we didn't have data at that point.
Me and my dad, and I'll tell you this honestly, we looked at COVID in a different aspect than most people did. The first month, we were scared of it. We didn't know what it was. Then after the first month, we realized, oh, it's just like the common cold.
But it's not.
Because
that's anti-scientific. I was bedridden for 3 weeks. I've never missed a day of work for a common cold. I was in a bed. I couldn't function. If I tapped my finger like this, it felt like it shattered. Like it would feel like this heat run through my hands of severe pain. I had a fever for like 7 days. I have been hospitalized 3 times due to long COVID. My ex was not able to taste regular food for almost 2 years. Like everything tasted like trash to her for almost 2 years. See, that's the problem. That what you said, how you and your dad looked at it, I believe is how Ron DeSantis looked at it, and it's scientifically not true. The common cold and COVID are similar in basically one way, how easy it is to catch and how easy it is to spread. But then that's basically where the similarities end.
Well, all the symptoms are the same.
Since January 1st, 2020, 1.1 million people, or plus, have died. Do you understand that? That you're saying the symptom?
Yeah, I do understand that.
Well, then how's that the same as the common cold?
But also, it's like the common cold flu. The flu it's the same thing. It's more like the flu.
Well, just so you know, if you look at the data, if you look at the rate of people unaliving due to the flu, and you look at the rate to COVID, it's substantially higher with COVID. So you can look, because flu is seasonal, so you can look at the seasonal rates each flu season, and you can compare that to COVID. And COVID has a much higher death rate, and it doesn't go away when it gets warm; it stays. I got it when I got COVID. It was the middle of the summer. You don't see very many people get the flu in the middle of the summer.
But what I'm trying to say is we had zero flu cases in the wintertime because it was all COVID. They said it was COVID. It's all COVID.
What are you talking about? No, that's completely wrong. That's completely wrong.
No, it isn't.
Season is the winter. You just don't know what you're talking about.
I've heard this before. I think what you're saying is that during COVID, there were no flu cases. They went away, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I've seen that. I can pull up the data on that. There's a lot of reasons for that. It didn't necessarily completely go away, but there were also people who would get COVID and influenza at the same time, right? You could get both. But the truth is, like, people were at home. If you got the flu, where were you getting tested? You weren't, right? You'd probably go in and you get tested for COVID, right? So those numbers dropped. I read something from the CDC. I'm trying to find it. Stephen Kistler, who's from the Department of Immunology and Infectious Diseases at Harvard, said in a 2021 Vox article that while more people received a flu vaccine this year, the sharp drop in cases was probably largely driven by mask wearing and distancing. Kistler suggested that wearing masks in the future could be an effective way of controlling flu outbreaks. Wearing masks in the wintertime, I think it's something that might be here to stay. Kistler also discussed how lower flu prevalence this year creates uncertainties about how the virus will evolve in the future. That's probably not relevant.
The 2020-2021 season?
Yes.
Yeah, there's a summary of this on the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. I can put in the Discord for you. But yeah, it has to do with isolation, right? Isolation, mask wearing, things that they suggest we do, but weren't doing other years. But yeah, I'll put the study in the Discord.
What's Discord?
It's like Discord's an app. It's where a lot of people that watch this show kind of hang out in there. It's kind of like a little chat room. So when we share our articles, we put it in our Discord. You're welcome to join. If you want to DM me, I can get you an invite.
Okay.
The other thing to remember is like the long-term effects of COVID, right? Myocarditis. It's massive. We've seen a massive increase in heart-related conditions post-COVID. I'm somebody who got myocarditis from COVID. Now, most of the time, for most people, it's short-lived. It goes away. Mine has gone away. But for like 6 months, there were times when I felt like my heart rate would just go to like 150, 160. It would just jump up, and I would be doing nothing. And I thought I was having heart attacks. And early on, I would go to the doctor, and they didn't know. They hadn't yet linked COVID and myocarditis, so they couldn't figure out what was actually going on. I spent thousands of dollars with cardiologists trying to figure out what was wrong. Now we know that COVID has long-term effects, and we're learning more and more. The further away we get from COVID, the more we're learning the effects it has on people. It had even just the brain fog stuff. People their brains have been permanently altered. He got removed again. It says community guidelines. That's crazy. Why is he getting? We're saying all the same things. TikTok's wild.
Do you think that yeah, hopefully no one's reporting him. But yeah, I don't think he said anything too bad. But yeah, I'd put that in the Discord, the stuff about the flu. But yeah, absolutely COVID. If you read exactly like you're saying, new research that's come out, and now that we can study the effects of COVID over time, especially what's it called? Long-term COVID. What's it called again?
They called it long haulers for a while.
Or something but isn't there another name?
I'm sure there's a...
Yeah, but I mean, it's been proven now, right? That's something that's affected people in horrible ways. I was reading this interesting article about the CEO of Texas Roadhouse, who unalived himself from long-term COVID due to tinnitus, right? And they're now studying how it's created, just ringing in people's ears, long-term, never-ending, is unaliving people from COVID.
And I would just point out to the people like Ron DeSantis and for these right-wing heroes that they hold up, the more we find out about this, the worse it gets. But more importantly, I think, is that if this happens again, the same people are already conditioned to believe that nothing is serious and everything is fake. So it's like another example of Republicans where they buy into a narrative early on. They bought into the ivermectin and the hydroxychloroquine, and you'll still hear them repeating those same lies. The problem is once it's out there and once people believe it, it's almost impossible to pull that back. And the scary part is what happens when we have another pandemic this.
No, it's happening now. So there's a great article. I had this in Friday's outline. We didn't have time to go over it. It's called "Amid Florida's Measles Outbreak, Surgeon General Goes Against Medical Guidance." Do you guys remember Joseph Ladapo, who I was talking about? He was specifically hired by Ron DeSantis because he would deny facts about COVID and was anti-vax. Well, this guy, there is now a Florida measles outbreak. And in a letter, this guy said parents at an elementary school with confirmed measles cases, as everyone listening, can decide whether their children should attend school, right? He's not even making them stay home. Confirmed measles outbreaks that unalive children. This is the man put in place that Ron DeSantis found to undercut COVID policy, who would go against what was safe, whether or not children should be at home when they had COVID, all that. He's now mirroring that with measles. The problem with measles is anti-vax people are not getting their children vaccinated, right? So also this is now causing measles to spread faster. There's an actual outbreak in elementary schools in Florida. And this man that was brought in to deny COVID policy is now not even making children diagnosed with measles not be at school.
Yeah.
Meningitis is another one that's increasing as well. Yeah. But this article is terrifying. Imagine.
John Oliver did years ago. He did one of his segments on vaccinations and the proliferation of the vaccine conspiracy theories from other ones. This was, I think it was pre-COVID that all this happened, and it's super interesting. He has the guy who came up with the vaccine schedule where you space it out for children, and basically that guy was asked okay, well what science did you rely on to set the schedule? He's like, oh, there's no science that backs up any of this. In fact, you can get them all at once, but people didn't want to, so I created this schedule so people would feel more comfortable. He just made up a schedule to get parents who were worried about giving their kids the vaccines at once. He gave them a schedule so that they would at least vaccinate their kids. You have to treat these kids or these people like kids. You have to trick them into being vaccinated. You're oh, there's a new way to do it where we still get vaccines, but it's on a schedule. Alan says, anytime you guys need help with the Republicans, let me know. Be right there. This is just a
Thanks,
good reminder.
Alan.
We're participating in CoinCot, so we're not accepting gifts today. But if you do want to contribute to our show, which we do rely on gifts to fund ourselves, there's the Venmo and the Cash App. We're happy to read the messages you send us as well. It makes us happy. Sue says, thanks for coming back every Monday and doing this all week. Great job. I appreciate you. Look, easy for me to come back. Felice is the one with the challenge. Because not only does she have to come back to this, she has to come back to me. And that's not easy. That's a lot to come back to every Monday.
Yeah, I just want to read this specifically. So doctors and health officials typically recommend that children who are not vaccinated for measles isolate for 21 days after they have been exposed at school. In the letter, the state surgeon general, Joseph Ladapo, said it was up to parents and guardians to determine when their children can attend school, even if those children have not been vaccinated against the disease. Like, you used to have a measles vaccination. Apparently, we're off that.
Yeah.
Now, if you're not vaccinated, meaning you've been exposed to it, you can come back to school whenever and expose other kids to it. Like, this is where we're at in Florida. And same thing, like, it's really hard for me. Like, I just want to say this about Ron DeSantis and Vivek. These are people are, again, perfect examples of, if they are elected, people lose rights. Like, you cannot divorce yourself. You cannot say, I support Ron DeSantis, but not because of the fact he wants to take rights from the LGBTQ community. That is a fact. Your vote for him is a vote against my ability to self-actualize and have equity and equality in this country. Like, period. Same thing with people with uteruses and making decisions about our health care. Your support for Vivek Ramaswamy, for Ron DeSantis, takes away women's rights to make their health care decision, takes away people with uteruses' rights. You can't divorce from that. You can't say, well, that's just an unintended consequence. Like, you're in for that. You're in for a penny. You're in for a pound.
Yeah, that's the criticism of, or I guess that's the thing that people celebrate with Vivek and Ron that I hate, is it's like they speak their mind and they have a backbone. Okay, about what though? Like, when do they speak their mind? When do they have a backbone? And that should matter, because I sure didn't see much of a backbone from Ron DeSantis when he quit and immediately endorsed Trump after campaigning against him for 6 months. What's up, Dusty?
Let's get to 240K.
Yeah, so I just wanted to say really quickly about, like the pandemic, since you guys were on that topic, and like being sick.
Careful, it's on.
No.
TikTok's getting after it today.
They're getting crazy. So I decided that I didn't want to shake people's hands anymore, like in a business setting. And I think that with everything that's happened, our culture and shaking hands is kind of archaic, and it's kind of dumb, and it should be something of the past, because we're just, it just increases the probability of getting sick. However, when I go to these conventions for work and go to networking events and I don't shake people's hands, it kind of excommunicates you from some people. They're just oh, I don't want to do business with this guy. He's a jerk. I don't know. I just feel there should be more people aware of the fact that our handshaking in America and other countries that do it, we should stop.
Yeah, whatever it is, it's funny how outraged people choosing to take care of themselves makes people angry. When Republicans, especially the people I'm around, when they see somebody with a mask on, it's the most triggering thing in the world for them. Forgetting the fact that there's immunocompromised people that wore masks before COVID, but now because they've been conditioned to think if you wear a mask, that means you're a pussy, that they're it enrages them to see somebody with a mask on. And sometimes I've often thought about going to get a mask just to put it on at the store, just to get some talking. But I kind of want to get a MAGA mask and just wear a MAGA mask into the store and see what happens. But I agree with what you're saying. If somebody didn't want to shake my hand, they're I just worried about germs. I'd be that's fine. I probably am going to keep shaking hands, but I agree with you. It exposes just how crazy we let COVID divide us and how politicized that became.
Yeah, I just think that if like you can, I want to picture it as something of the past. Like when we look 100 years from now, people are going to be like, can you believe that people used to shake hands in business meetings? I think that that's what's going to happen, but it's going to take a couple of generations, I think. But whoever said the Japanese have it right, they're right. They do.
Do the Japanese not shake hands?
They bow. I think the Chinese bow too.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm all right with that.
Yeah,
I would prefer a head nod. That's fine.
that would be awesome. Like just a head nod, like something super simple. But I mean,
Listen, there's a lot of people who don't buy expensive toilet paper or fluffy toilet paper. There's a lot of people using single ply toilet paper, and you never know whose hand you're shaking. And you may be shaking the hand of a single ply toilet paper person, and that's sketchy.
Ew.
That's like assuming people wash their hands even. Like, yeah, there's many issues with like, it's like you could say not using bidets is unsanitary, period. Like what, like people in other countries, just as someone who's lived in many other countries, like they consider using toilet paper like disgusting, like because
it is.
Yeah, it really is. Like people in other countries are like disgusted by Americans' toilet paper obsession.
Well, it is gross, but like if you wash thoroughly afterwards, you know, it's like use what you have, right? But one crazy thing too is like we'll be like at the rink, like those of us who are there for like 3 hours, we have these gloves on. They're disgusting. And your nose runs a lot when you're at the rink because you're in a cold environment and you're like spinning and you like wipe your snot a lot. And then people come up to me on the ice and stick out their hand. I'm like, you don't want to do that right now. Trust me. Like that is nasty. But some of them like go for it and they like kind of grab it before you can like really decline. And it's just so annoying to me. And I just wanted to say that to your audience.
They just walk up and Donald Trump your hand.
They Donald Trump me so hard.
Jeez, that's brutal.
But
well, there we go. I didn't think we'd have this conversation ever. I never thought I would have guests that come up and say like shaking hands is archaic, but I kind of agree with you. So I appreciate that, Dusty.
Yes. All right, you guys take care. Have a good day.
Be well.
We probably should have like a public health campaign to stop shaking hands for sure. I mean, but we could look how well putting masks on went. Like, we can't get people to, like, airborne illness. Like, you can't get people to acknowledge science and wear a mask. Like,
yeah. Chris says, can we please get more Miss Kitty Whispers? So I believe that's a shout out to Miss Julie.
Yeah. I almost said Aunt Julie. I don't even know why.
She feels like our aunt now. Yeah.
Do
you say
like,
aunt?
Aunt, yeah. Yeah.
You do?
Well,
right, I think that's the correct way to say it.
Pronunciation, aunt. Yeah.
I like that. It's very formal.
Second grade grammar teacher of me. I don't know why anyone says aunt.
We've got 20 minutes. Everybody I know says aunt. Listen, us conservatives, we're not using that U. We're anti-U. University, the letter U, and aunt, all of it. We're anti.
Well, so yeah, I guess what we were talking about before I brought up. Oh, did I take the article down? Yeah. Well, we can move on for that. I mean, the exit polls of South Carolina. The general summary is it does mirror Iowa and New Hampshire, and so it's the same story, which is, the concern is people don't want to vote for a criminal, and independents, and also people who are being asked if Trump's convicted of a crime, will you vote for him, are all saying no. And that is the concern, right? Where Trump can, of course, I always knew that this would be the case in the Republican primaries. Like, I don't think anyone's truly surprised that Haley's not beating Trump. I am surprised that she got 40% of the vote in South Carolina, and that's what Trump needs to be worried about.
Well, I think the other part that we need to recognize is Trump keeps performing polls.
Yes.
And he's relying heavily, and Republicans are relying heavily. And the narrative everywhere is that Trump reasons he underperformed in 2020. Like, he is not fixing the problems that he had in 2020. He's doubling down on them. He's making them worse. I think this should give Democrats a lot of at least hope going forward that
Yeah. Let me play, like, since we don't have that much time left, let's focus on allegedly, you know what I mean? Not allegedly. Well, allegedly, I'm going to say this. Trump was allegedly giving a speech at the Black Conservative Federation gala, a gala that the Black Conservative Federation was having. But then, by all accounts, when you saw videos of the audience and people sitting at the tables while he was speaking, they were predominantly not African Americans. So I'm just drawing. We can all be the judge, like, whether or not, same thing that happened with the union rally, Trump at a non-union shop, giving people signs to hold up, make it look like he was having a union rally. I would posit this was much the same thing. Or he couldn't get enough, let's just say the gala, which was in a room much too small for a gala, but was in fact put on by the Black Conservative Federation, will then show up. And so Trump had seat fillers, which ended up being many, many seat fillers. That it
almost exclusively seat fillers.
That it no longer looked like there were African Americans at a Black Conservatives event. So however it happened, like, that's what happened.
Can we stop? Yeah, can we stop pretending well, not even stop pretending. We need to have a real discussion about, in America, is it okay that one of the two people that's going to be president is having fake rallies pretending to be at places that he's not, pretending to represent people that he's not, pretending to speak to people that he's not, pretending to get the endorsement of people that he's not. Like, these are just shows. These are scripted. He is not being supported by Black people in South Carolina. You can see.
And why was I not surprised? Which Joe Biden largely was. And we never talked about this. We never really touched on the Democrat. I wanted to talk about it, but there was a large, if you were on far right social media leading up to the South Carolina Democratic primary, the story was, Joe Biden has lost support of Black voters because they're in solidarity with the Palestinians and will no longer vote for Biden. Well, that proved itself not to be the case in a place where Biden increased his African American support in the South Carolina Democratic primary. But, right, like what we've seen was that Trump has a problem. And that's why I was looking at, for pictures of the crowd when we were talking about his speech at the Black Conservative Federation. Sorry, I keep getting the name wrong. Black Conservative Federation Gala, because the words that were coming out of Trump's mouth when I was listening to the speech, I was like, there are no way African Americans are sitting in this audience and not throwing things at this man right now. I was like, either people are walking out or they'd be throwing stuff at him. Two things cannot exist. This has to be offensive to somebody in this audience.
Do you have some of those clips? I think, yeah, there they are.
Yeah,
let's play a couple of them.
Yeah, I will. I'll play some.
If you guys haven't heard these, trigger warning. Just trigger warning.
And then I got indicted a second time, and a third time, and a fourth time. And a lot of people said that that's why the Black people like me, because they have been hurt so badly and discriminated against. And they actually viewed me as I'm being discriminated against. It's been pretty amazing, but it...
How reductive, how trying to make African Americans homogenized, they all think the same, all have the same experiences. That to say the one limited experience that Trump has had represents all Black voters.
Well, how about looking at the historic disenfranchisement of Black people and Black voters and then saying, these civil cases that I'm losing, it's exactly the same. This is the same thing. This is exactly the same thing. And Black people are recognizing that. that's the part where when you say like you're hoping that there's no black people in the room to see that, like, and then you see there aren't, but like that's an insane thing to say, that you losing 3 cases that were so obvious and so the evidence was overwhelming that you committed these crimes, and then to show up to a campaign event and be like, it's the same thing. It's the same thing.
Well, not all African Americans have been indicted. Like, not all African Americans are criminals. A lot of
I would
them
say
are
most.
Unjustly, but indicted, as we know from looking at the effects of systemic racism. But to imply that, anytime because Trump has been indicted, that somehow now all African Americans will identify with him is offensive in and of itself.
His new line, I think he says it here again, but he keeps saying it over and over again, as he's like, when he says, he's like, I've never heard of indictment. He keeps saying that like that's a good line. Like, dude, you're in your late 70s. How have you never heard the word indictment before? How are you just learning about this?
Like racist Joe Biden, I've spent
Yeah,
my
he said
entire life.
he said unlike racist Joe Biden. Like, that's, you heard that right.
Like racist Joe Biden, I've spent my entire life working hand in hand with black Americans to create jobs, build buildings, invest in our communities, and expand opportunity and freedom for citizens of every race, religion, color, and creed. And I built a lot of buildings, and I want to tell you, a black worker is a great worker. You've done an incredible job. They've done an incredible job.
A black worker is a great worker is where we're at now. But this is also the man who was sued for discriminating against African American tenants. He would not rent to African Americans. He instructed people in his buildings to not rent to African Americans. And this is that man. So I guess he allowed African Americans to build buildings, he said, that then he would not allow them to live in. That's how offensive this speech is.
And to Republicans, like, you can pretend that this is effective rhetoric. It's not. You know what? All he's doing is he's providing something for you guys to argue about. Like, that you guys can pretend that Donald Trump, like, is this person he's pretending to be. Like, there's going to be people saying, oh, well, he's employed hundreds or thousands of black people. Like, that's all he's doing here. Look at the audience. There's nobody there supporting him. He doesn't have the support that he's pretending to have. It's the same as the unions. He says all this shit and he pretends that he's like doing something for people, and he's not. And because they don't show up for him. They didn't show up to vote for him in 2020. They're not showing up for his rallies now. And you guys keep hanging your hat on this idea that they're going to just magically show up in 2024. We're going to have all these union workers and the black vote. They're just going to suddenly show up for Donald Trump.
Oh, here's a great moment of the speech where Trump goes, do you know who Cary Grant is? But then he decides, since he's allegedly supposed to be speaking to an African-American audience, that they couldn't know who Cary Grant is. So then he switches to Sidney Poitier, like, an African-American man, because they will understand what he means then, because nobody could understand a Cary Grant reference unless you're...
Also, you got to be pretty old to
what?
know who. Yeah, no, I think there's a lot of Americans who don't know who Cary Grant is.
Or Sidney Poitier. It's an age. Yeah. That's the point. It's an age thing, not a at the very least, it would be an age thing, not a. Let's switch to an African American name.
That Cary Grant. Do you know Cary Grant? He was this very handsome guy. I'm going to put it more in this. Sidney Poitier. I thought he was very handsome, right? When he was 81, I'm not sure he looked great in a bathing suit. I don't know if anybody looks too great in a bathing suit at 81. What do you think? Maybe these guys look good in a bathing suit. But
well, Joe Biden, at least takes his shirt off. We don't know how Trump looks in a bathing suit. We'll never. But that was just one example. So let's move on to another.
Can we just go for a second? He's like, do you guys know who Cary Grant is? Love Cary Grant. And then he says,
he's saying you guys wouldn't know.
Yeah, for this crowd, I'm going to say Sidney Poitier. And then he doesn't say anything. He just says that he's handsome.
Yeah, there was no point to it. He's just talking about how he looks in a bathing suit.
Just like on his notes, it's like, say a black person's name. And he's like, here we go.
Jeez.
I'm being indicted for you.
Oh, that's not that one. This one.
They say women don't like him. I think women like me. I think I've never had a problem.
He's never had a problem. That's what he starts saying while offending African Americans. He also says that women. He doesn't understand why women or people say women don't like him.
I'm being indicted for you, the black population. I am being indicted for a lot of different groups. I'm being
That's right. That's right, African Americans. This is all for you. Trump's doing this for you. He wouldn't let you live in his buildings. 80s.
This is exhibit 84,756 of something that it would end anybody's presidential campaign, but won't
Ever.
end Trump's.
Can you imagine if Joe
anybody
Biden
else
said
who
this?
said this? Yeah, you're done forever. You're
Out
never
of
recovering.
politics. Yeah. Remember Rachel, what's her name? For some reason I keep thinking Ray, not Rachel. Rachel Maddow was saying like reasons people have lost their presidential campaigns, like Howard Dean just for screaming too near a mic. But Trump is doing this stuff. Listen to this.
I think that's why the black people are so much on my side now, because they see what's happening to me happens to them. Does that make sense? I've heard that. When I did the mugshot in Atlanta, that mugshot is number one. Elvis Presley's number two, and Frank Sinatra's. They had Frank Sinatra for fighting, and they had Elvis for, I don't know, something in a gas station. He tried to hold up a gas station. I don't know, something. Elvis. So Elvis is number two, but he was always number one. The mugshot, we've all seen the mugshot. And you know who embraced it more than anybody else? The black population. It's incredible. You see black people walking around with my mugshot. They do shirts and they sell them for $19 a piece. It's pretty amazing. Millions, by the way, millions of these things have been. I think that's.
Is he bragging about having the most famous mugshot? You know who?
No, but he's saying that only because he has a mugshot. Like, first of all, if you are an African American that supports Trump, please understand how offensive this is to you. Like, you're so reductionist, such a simple-minded person, that the only reason you could support Trump is because he's been arrested. Like, I guess Trump is saying, using Trump's own line of logic, you probably have too. Like, what? That is so unbelievably reductive and offensive. And this is the best. Oh, go ahead.
I was thinking about this last night. I was looking at the mugshot, and just like in any other scenario, the face that Donald Trump makes in this mugshot, like everybody would laugh or say like you're a crazy person. Nobody looks down and scowls during a mugshot, right? Nobody does that. And when you do see that, like, generally, you're going to be like, that's, all right, that's a crazy person. But not with Donald Trump. Like, he literally tried to look as evil as possible. But that's like his I'm tough look. Like, I'm so tough that I had made a mean face. I've just never understood the obsession with... Actually, I do understand the obsession with conservatives. They just, like, anything he does is perfect. There's nothing he can do wrong. So even when he gets arrested and has a ridiculous mugshot, they're like, this is amazing.
Well, I don't think it's because they're so impressed with the picture. I think it's because they think that he's a martyr, right? Like, it's less about if they're not like, if it was a different picture, we wouldn't buy this. Like, I think it's just his martyrdom in general. Like, so I want to play a clip. Oh God, what's her name? Laura Coates. Okay. She's one of the weekend CNN hosts. She's African American. So
she was probably at the rally
playing clips. Yeah, I know. Because all of the Trump supporters were there. They were playing clips of, sorry, I need to turn on my microphone. They were playing clips of, Trump giving this speech. And like, oh my God. First of all, it took her like 3 seconds to start talking because her face was just like, are you fucking kidding me that I have to sit here and listen to this and then have to comment on it? Like, I have never seen, like a face. Like, she didn't need any words. She could have just sat there in silence and stared at the camera and we would have all gotten the point.
Then I got indicted a second time and a third time and a fourth time. And a lot of people said that that's why the black people like me, because they have been hurt so badly and discriminated against. And they actually viewed me as I'm being discriminated against.
This is her silence.
Can you get more insulting? Do you really think that people like you because you were indicted, because there is some suggestion that's being made here that people see themselves in you? He's just like me. I too have been indicted. That discrimination and all that accompanies it can be reduced to what your experience has been. I guess stereotypes might be the new platform here. Forget a family man, forget a businessman, forget actual policies you might hold and want to put out into the universe. No, you must like me because you too have had a run-in with the law. Well, why isn't that the pitch for all voters, right? He has said that he is the outsider, the consummate outsider outside the establishment. Why is it think that only appeals maybe, or that's why black voters like you? Well, you cannot make this up, you realize. And it's coming from a political frontrunner who's hoping to get more votes, not alienate voters. It tells you exactly what is wrong with where we are today. You know, earlier today, President Joe Biden's campaign made this statement, calling Trump, well, the proud poster boy for modern racism. Now, I'm going to let you decide whether he is, in fact, as advertised. It's up to you to make that conclusion or not. But what he is selling, he hopes black voters are buying. That they are a monolith, that they too face indictments, that they think of discrimination only as it relates to the cases perhaps against him. And that's enough for them. And that is his final pitch in the wee small hours of the morning to voters, at least hours before the polls open in South Carolina. To which you have to say, what the Friday is this?
And then I got in.
It's so it's so reductive and insulting. It's mind-boggling. And the same way, I mean, I could go into hours of hypocrisy, but I think what she said is well said. And the Biden campaign did say that he is like the representation of modern racism, which that way she didn't have to say it. I just think it's super smart how she's like, and now I will read a quote from the Biden administration. You can decide whether or not who you think this guy is. Like, just beautifully done.
Yeah, that was a really honest reaction to that.
If you could see her face, I'm not doing it
of
justice. She was like,
yeah, you can find it on Twitter. I saw it on Twitter. It was just like, the face to me is reading like, I can't believe I have to fucking cover this. Like, or I can't believe I have to fried egg cover this, I guess.
She wanted to be at like a rage room.
Yeah.
For breaking a car, like for real.
All right. Well, we made it. We made it to the end. That's a good spot to stop.
Guys, tap the screen for 3 more minutes. Do you want to cover anything else or stop now?
No, we can end it there. I think that's a good place to stop. That was a nice palatable finish to the ludicrousy of Donald Trump. You guys can catch us here every morning, 8:30 a.m. to noon Pacific Standard Time, Monday through Friday, and sometimes occasionally in the evenings. If you want to join the Discord, shoot myself or Jen or any of the moderators a DM, and we will get you a link to the Discord. Again, like we said, CoinCop will continue through the end of the month. We'll be doing that. Follow us on YouTube. We post the replays every single day of these shows, so you can catch that on YouTube, and also some short clips. It did go by fast, but I enjoyed every minute of it.
Someone's asking if you have an update on the mod debate.
I don't. There may be something in my DMs from during the show, but I have no update. The last we left it, she said she had somebody in mind to moderate. I asked who, and I haven't heard back from her. So I will check my DMs and I'll send her another message today. We'll see.
Okay,
anything you
cool.
want to add, Felice?
No, well, actually, yes. This is what I want to say about the black conservative, the Trump Union Gala, the speech he gave to the national religious broadcasters. What I'm saying is it's offensive for somebody to change their rhetoric based on the group they're talking to, right? Like, we're not voting for you. Like, I need to pretend to be one person in front of religious broadcasters. I need to pretend to be another person in front of African Americans. He should be the same person with the same policies every day of the week. And we should ask ourselves why he is not.
That's such a good point. That's a great way to end. That's beautifully said. Yeah, I agree with all of that. Okay, thanks, Felice. Great outline today. We will see everybody tomorrow morning, bright and early.